Hi, friends. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? It's Sunday. The weekend's almost over. I'm very sad about it. The weekends just seem to go quicker and quicker. I feel like it's ridiculous. How is everyone? How's everyone feeling? How's everyone doing? You're feeling your mouse and keyboard? Did you get a new one, Raven? Wait, I saw you posted it in the setup, right? I'm feeling rich and powerful, like point powerful. Like rich and point powerful. It's not new. It's not new, but you're still feeling it. That's okay. I'm feeling my Red Dragon mouse and keyboard. Hashtag sponsored. About every item in Scrooge McDuck's store. Really? That's so funny. All right. So it's been... Excuse me. It's been a week.
Power restored.
It's been a week since I played Subnautica. We were going to the Lost River, which is very far away. Is it DJ's over there? Beacon 9, there's Raven. Oh no, I was going over there. That's what, okay, this is what we're doing first. We're going to the rendezvous point, and then we're gonna go back to the Lost River. I just don't know where my beacon is for the Lost River. I thought I named it. Didn't I name it Lost River? Oh, I guess I didn't. Blood kelp. It's the yellow one. Oh, okay. So we have to go over there. Oh, come on. Okay. Okay. That one and then DJ's. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna do the rendezvous point first. That one. We're gonna do that first. But I just run my hand underwater. What? Why? I Why? Well, I know you just asked why, which I don't have an answer for, but like, what? Why? Why would you do that? Look at how pretty it is. All right. Let's see. We've got... Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Hi, Wolfie. How you doing? Wolfie, honestly, it's good to see you. I was just talking to Broseph earlier, and I was like, I'm a little worried because I haven't seen or heard from Wolfie since he messed up the count, and I hope he doesn't like feel bad about it. Like, we were just talking about it. You're okay? Since the incident, yeah. No, you've just been busy. It's okay. It's okay. That's what I was like. I was like, Wolfie doesn't strike me as the kind of person who would be like, I can't show my face. Like, I thought, yeah. But it was just funny. We were just talking. I was like, I actually haven't seen Wolfie in a minute. But I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're okay, I guess I should say. So I grew a bunch of fish while I was off stream trying to like just do some side stuff. And now they're all over my life and they won't go away. All right, Johnny Deep, let's go. Wait, this one's Johnny Deep, right? And the other one was gonna be Tom Cruise, but we lost him. I grew fish. I did, I hatched fish. I grew them and hatched them.
All systems online.
All systems online. All right, we're going to this rendezvous. This is my favorite part of this game, where you can whee! You can like jump like a dolphin, like out of the water. Whee! How's everyone's weekend? My weekend went by way too fast, and I'm really upset about it. But, if anyone remembers, I've been complaining about this game. So, last year, a game came out called Icarus that I played with Nate, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was like one of my absolute favorite like survival games that I had experienced in quite a while. But something happened and like they did some sort of performance update or something, and I wasn't able to play it for like months. Like it would literally, when I say it wouldn't just crash the game, it was shutting my entire PC off. Like my whole PC would just power off and it would just go. It would just be done. So I wasn't able to play for months, and they did updates and they did updates and they did updates and they did all these updates. And so somebody on Twitter like replied to a comment or something that I said, and I was like, has anyone else experienced this problem where like they can't play it anymore? Like it just like lags so hard and just shuts their whole PC off. And somebody was like, you should give it a try again. Like they've done a bunch of performance updates, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I'll give it another try. But if it shuts my PC down, like I'm done, because like I can't afford PC upgrades, you know? So I was able to play it, and I played it all weekend, and I'm very excited about it. Long story short, I played it all weekend, and I'm very excited. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you have a PO box? I'm 3D printing a bunch of stuff to test some designs and whatnot. I figured I might as well print things I can give to people. My two good friends, Icarus and South Big Update, played 2 hours and barely gave up. They don't do well with change. Oh, I love it. I think the update has been so good. I think it's been so good. I don't have a PO box. I thought about it, but I was like, I'm not gonna like, I'm not, I guess, big enough to need one that people would be sending me stuff. But I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed. I guess I could see how much it costs. Like there has to be a way, right? Like, there has to be a way to like anonymously ship something. Well, not ship it, but come here. Wait, I haven't scanned these yet? Out of all of these times that they bit me in the face, like a little annoying little fucker. I can pick these up, but I don't think they do anything. I don't want you. So this island is gonna have, number one, it's gonna have the fruit trees, and number two, it's gonna have the Degrassi, not Degrassi. Remember, guys, we're not Degrassi the next generation. It's gonna have the Degrassi habitats. See, there's one right there. Oh no, that's the Aurora. Oh, hydrate. You got it, Sully. Thank you. Degrassi is JQ. Everyone says that every time I say Degrassi. Everyone's always like, Drake? It's not Degrassi, it's Degassi. Degassi. Because I'm gassy. This way. But I want the fruit trees, because the fruit trees are huge. 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 Wait, there was something else to scan, I thought. These are just mushrooms. Mushroom. See, like, there's one up there. Not liking the price of PO boxes. I know, and that's why I'm like, ugh. If I was a bigger streamer, like, it would be worth it, but I'm not, so. Betcher. Mushroom. Alright, how do I get up there without dying? Ooh. Wait, what scan? What? I've scanned pink caps. I'm so confused. Okay, whatever. Bulbo tree. Wait, we want this, right? Because doesn't this one grow fruit? No? One of these grows fruit. 55 for 3 months on a 3-inch by 5.5-inch. Wow. So like you couldn't even get like an Amazon's package sent. That's crazy. I don't want to go to the rendezvous point because that will progress the story, and I don't want to do that. It's a standard fee. Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty up there. But like I said, like there's no point really. Oh, there's one there. Ooh. Oh, we're about to get the thing. Oh, come on, move. No, go away. I don't need you. There we go. Exterior grow bed. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Potato plant. I need you. I need you, please. Thank you. Potatoes. Go away. Why are you here? Inventory full of what? Oh my gosh. Of potatoes. It's full of potatoes. stasis rifle. Alright, I need to go back to oil and mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. I know. So there's a way to just send packages to a post office called general delivery, but to do that you need the person's full name, and that's a no-go. Yeah, I mean, the full name is whatever. I just don't want people knowing where I live is really what it is. Like, people can find out my name if they really, really wanted to. It's out there. This is what I want, the lantern tree, because I want this fruit. Yeah. Because realistically, like, people who have donated to my PayPal, I think, have it. Don't they? Because I have the names of people who have donated to my PayPal. So I assume that it goes the other way around as well. Like, I assume it's like a business transaction. I shouldn't play it better safe than sorry if people don't put their names out there. That's what I'm saying. Like, my name is out there. That's the thing. Like, if you wanted to find it, like, it's out there. So, 4 of those. Let's do 2 more of those. Okay. Back to the game. Let's go. I have to check because I don't recall. Yeah. That's why I said, like, I would assume. I honestly, genuinely don't know. Like, I would just guess because, I mean, and that's strictly people who donate, like, PayPal, like, who use, like, my donate link through Streamlabs or whatever. People who donate through Ko-Fi, it is anonymous through Ko-Fi, just in case anyone was, like, concerned about it. An Arbok. I'll take one. I'll take one. Alright, where was I? Grub basket. I think I used Ko-Fi, yeah. Yeah, if you used Ko-Fi, it does come up as a, like, it does come up as, like, Ko-Fi dash, you know, Wolfie 7828 or whatever. Right, here's where I want it to be. Okay, so I want all of this fruit. This fruit is good stuff. Look at that. It's good stuff. Okay, we want this because we want to plant it. Plant it. Okay. Let's go back down. I need this. There we go. Raccoon, raccoon. Hi, Flanky. How you doing, Franklin? How's the day? How you feeling, friend? Where's Johnny Deep? Way over there. Nice rare reward for the Poke Daily. I can't words. Hi, Trem. How you doing? Trem, can you explain Dave the Diver for me? Because, like, I thought I understood it. Like, it was like a little fishing game. And then I watched you last night and you were, like, making sushi? Like, what the fuck is Dave the Diver? Like, what is it? What's the point? Guys, all my faves are here. You guys are, like, so awesome. I love that I take a week off from streaming and I'm like, nobody's gonna be here because I took a week off and everyone's gonna hate me and forget about me. And all my faves are here. So, diver by day, sushi bar owner by night. So, like, okay, so do you actually fish? Or you're like, okay, so you're like a scuba diver and you, like, collect fish? Like, do you have, like, a fishopedia that you have to, like, fill in? Like, do you catch certain fish? Like, do you have objectives? I'm telling Terry you said we weren't your faves because he wasn't here. Listen, show up. I'm kidding. Don't tell Terry that. You catch fish with a harpoon or nets. Big fishopedia? Ooh. A big fishopedia, he says. A large fishopedia. Clips. No, Terry, no. Terry, I love you, no. I can't believe you'd betray me like that. A bulkhead? Interesting. Do you guys think it's possible to be an ethical landlord? I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, like, okay, yes, I definitely believe that it's possible. Like, straight up, like, my grandma was a landlord, but she was, like, literally like, hey, you can live in my house that I don't live in anymore. Just, like, don't, like, just don't fuck it up. You know, like...
Integrating new PDA data.
You're very stuck. Wait, do I have... I don't have, like, my propulsion or anything. Am I supposed to go in there? Am I supposed to be able to get in here? From the outside, maybe? Some renters can easily touch. That's true. My parents are ethical landlords at the moment. I'm pretty sure they're losing money from me renting this place from them at the rate I'm paying. Yeah, technically my mom's an ethical landlord. Like, I technically rent this space from her. Like, I pay rent, I pay part of the electricity, I pay part of the internet. Like, I technically pay for part of this space, so I guess so, right? How do you, like, what is this? I don't understand. Like, how do I get in there? Do I have to really come back and use, like, a pulse or something? No. Oh, can I get in here? Oh, I can get in right here. Okay, perfect. Okay, I thought I had to go all around. Okay, they can, but they're still human beings, so that's true. It's my new major platform. That people should be ethical landlords, and landlording should be a calling and not an investment opportunity. I mean, I believe it can be both. I do believe that it can be an investment opportunity, but you can also not be a fucking douchebag. You know, like, I believe it can be both. You know? Hi, Hui, welcome in. Landlord's charging 1,500. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, it can be both. Problem isn't really mom and pop landlords, it's corporate. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, I know somebody who's a landlord, and this particular person, like, doesn't like people staying on their property for more than a set period of time because they believe that if tenants become comfortable, then they're not gonna, like, they're not gonna move on ever, and they're just gonna, like, live in your house for fucking forever, and then you can't get new tenants to take advantage of.
New PDA data.
Full transparency, my mortgage is $1,316 a month. Tell me why the neighbor was renting out their house for $1,600 and not even leaving appliances or doing maintenance. Gross. I'm rolling my eyes so hard. I know. My mom... Or, yeah, mama half landlords are also assholes. People are just trying to make a buck. Yeah, I'm rolling my eyes so hard. Yeah, because you know. Because you know. If I ever want to be able to see my kids for more than 20% of the week, I'm going to have to make part of my income from passive income. Yeah, but there are other ways to make passive income than being a douchebag landlord. I'm saying there aren't, but the big problem in the US has been corpse buying houses to rent out. Yeah, yeah. My old apartment that I shared with my brother, our landlord was probably one of the worst landlords ever. Like, he let us have no heat for like 2 weeks in like a blizzard because he was on vacation, and he was like a big like fix it himself kind of guy because he didn't ever want to hire somebody. So he was on vacation, and he basically was like, you guys have to wait, or like just turn your oven on and just like open your oven and like let your oven heat your house. And we were like, no, that's not fucking working for us. We like moved, we straight up like broke our contract and moved out. We like called like the police and everything. No, it wasn't the like we called the police, but like, you know, it was like the housing authority or some shit or whatever. What the fuck? Yeah, it was pretty shitty if I'm being honest with you. He knew what he was doing too. Too many people who are buying. Yeah. Landlords are long-term investment where you're counting on the house to appreciate. Yeah, the problem is that too many landlords don't want that. They want to make money. Exactly. They want to, like, it's not just like, oh, you know, pay off whatever I need to pay off and then it's done. It's like, yeah, they want to make, you know, a grand a month on top of it. For something like that. Yeah, we just fucking moved out. We're charting for pretty much padded route. Yeah. Yep.
Integrating new PDA data.
Okay, so we have one more to go, which is that one. I think there's 3 on here. I hope. Did you still have to pay him? We moved out. Like, we literally, like, while he was on vacation refusing to fix our heat, we, like, packed it up and we fucking moved out. In the middle of a blizzard. Moving in January in New England sucks. I cannot wait to evict the asshole in my bedroom. That's a little bit of a different situation, Aya. I also think we need to draw a distinction between residential property landlords and... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Landlords of, like, giant apartment buildings can suck it. But, like, my little old grandma who, like, rents out her old house that she used to live in, like, Pawtucket, like, she's not an asshole. You know? Like, everything she makes on that house is profit because, like, she's owned it for 70 years or whatever it is. Wait, what? That one? Oh, no. Which one did I just come from? I came from that one, right? And I have to go up and around that one. I think so. Fuck. He won't be homeless. His mommy and daddy will pick him up and wipe his butt. Oh my god. Landlording as an income stream is by default profiting from people who can't get a house. It's true. Yeah, that's true. But I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. Like, I don't know if I want to be a homeowner. Like, that's a lot. There's a lot of stuff involved with being a homeowner that, like, I don't want to have to do. So, like, for me, like, being a renter is, like, not bad. Like, I don't necessarily want the responsibility of being a homeowner. There we go. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about, like, people renting stores or offices to people versus people renting houses. Oh, I get what you mean. Commercial, like, that way. I get what you mean now. I thought you meant commercial, like, commercial buildings. Like, giant, apartment buildings. Exploiting and hoarding, yeah. I'm trying so hard to, like, not fall off these giant cliffs while Chad is talking about landlords. Alright, let's drink water. Let's eat this fish so I can pick this up. Yes, we want this. I'm taking my parents' house when they leave because I hate change. I feel like that's different though.
New blueprint acquired.
Alright. It'd be really nice if I could have taken
Integrating
more
new
of this
PDA
fruit
data.
here.
It's the first time I've seen sunlight in months.
Thank you for the follow.
After all that time in the deep, I'd been dreaming of it.
Landlording is an opportunity to help those in need
Now that I'm back
while
here,
still making your profit is great. Landlording as a means of making as much money as
Finding it hard
possible
to
and not
enjoy
saying
alone.
not my problem to poor
Thought I
people.
was
Yeah,
right.
exactly. They haven't said yes.
Should
They
never
don't know
have
yet.
left this place.
I see.
Shouldn't have gone so deep.
Alright, so let's do...
They
Shit,
do not want
shit,
us
I need to
down
keep
there.
these.
Despite my best efforts, ill health is taking hold of me. The visions are getting worse.
Wait, why aren't my gloves on?
Marguerite and
My gloves weren't
Barbara are
on.
now
Okay,
part of
there we
the
go.
ecosystem of this incredible planet.
There we go. Okay, one more.
It's reassuring to know that when I go, I'll join them.
Alright, so
Until
there's
then-
only 3.
Well,
I got that one, I got that one.
there's always the view.
Hopefully there's... Is there 3 or is there 4 Degassi bases on here? So I got that one. I got that one. I got that one. There's 3, right? Oh man, it'd be helpful if DJ was here, because I bet you DJ would know if there's more than I can't remember if there's 3 or if there's 4 bases on here. I feel like there might be a 4th, and I just don't remember where it is. Okay, let me catch back up. I'm the sole benefactor of my dad's estate, so I'm hoping he doesn't sell his house. If he does, though, I'll live. Yeah. It's such my life so much, but the way to change is honestly becoming a landlord. I mean, like, I guess it's just not being like exploitive. Like, you know, like how much is your mortgage versus, you know, like how much would it cost you to maintain the property, and then like, what do you need to be comfortable on top of that? And like, is it still an affordable place? Like, if it were you trying to rent it out, would it be a place that you could afford? Like, that's the thing, is like a one bedroom apartment or a studio apartment or anything like that should never cost $1,000. Like, there's in no way, shape, or like there's no way that it costs more than $1,000 to maintain a studio apartment or a 1-bedroom apartment. People who charge that are being exploitive. Like, there's no fucking way. But I used to have, you know, half of a duplex, so pretty much like I used to have like a house as my apartment, and that was $800 a month. So like, that was not exploitive. Like, he literally, like, he paid his rent, and it was like the cost of like maintaining like whatever, like the sewage or the plumbing or whatever it was, you know. Like, he just rented out like both halves of his house. My last first sergeant, when I was in the service, owned houses all over the country that he used is it the VA home loan or is it Virginia? VA home loan to purchase them. And he would come down on orders, he would start renting it out. He had like 6 at the time, plus the one he was living. He was only charging like $150 above the mortgage. Yeah, his plan is to sell them once he retires. Last I checked, he was down to 5 because he had struck a rent. Oh, I see. If that's not going to be profitable in your specific, then it's not wise. Plus, you'll bleed renters. Yeah, exactly. We have 900 square feet. It's like 1,400, and it goes up 200. Yeah, 200 is a year. Where I live, there are 0 studio apartments that you could get for less than 1,500. See, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's exploitive. Like, there's no, like, there's not, like, there's no way that it costs that much money to maintain it, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, it couldn't cost that much money to heat it, to put plumbing in it. Like, it doesn't cost that much money to maintain that, and I don't like when people like to act like it does. You know, like these apartments in New York City that are like $2,000 for like a fucking closet. Like, you're paying to live in New York, and that's the only thing you're paying for.
Integrating new PDA data.
That's what it costs, because the cost of a building here is an average of $500,000. Oof. Building upkeep can be pretty insane. Yeah, but I still don't believe one single room, like a single room. No. A single room does not cost $1,000 to maintain. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Hi, Terry. I'm sorry, but it just does not cost $1,000 to maintain one single room. You meant one room. That's what a studio apartment, Hui. A studio apartment is one room. The living room, the bedroom, the kitchen, the dining room is all one room. That's what a studio apartment is. The only thing that's separate is the bathroom, usually. That's called a studio apartment. Mm-hmm. Such your renters can never afford to leave and buy their own home. Yeah. When you think studio, you think huge. Yeah, no. Subnautica, let's go. Hey, Zach, how you doing? Welcome in. Where's my... Oh, on the other side. Right here. It's hard. It's like... It's hard. And I know, like... And I honestly, genuinely, Franklin, I understand that, like, you're just trying to figure your shit out. Like, I genuinely understand. But, like, there's no way to make a profit on it without it being too expensive for somebody. Like, there's just no way. There's no way for it to be fair to every single person who is renting out there. Like, it's just, you just can't. You're gonna have that moral crisis no matter what. Like, no matter what, you're gonna have that moral crisis. $70 a week isn't a profit. I mean, technically any profit is a profit. It's just not as much profit as you need for it to be. Any profit is profit. It's just not enough. This is a top 10 favorite game for you? Excuse me. So this is actually my first playthrough. I started it last year when it was on Game Pass. Put, you know, probably like 30, 40 hours or so into it. And then Game Pass pulled it. They pulled it before I finished it. So I finally gave in and I ended up buying it on Steam a few months ago when it was on sale. And I'm just getting around to it. To be amoral or miss 80% of my children's lives? No. I just think that your situation is a difficult situation, and there needs to be another way for you to make passive income other than the job that you're already doing. Franklin is a driver. Yeah. I don't know the company that they drive for, but I know that they're a driver. Okay, put all this away. Oh, wait, I need to make... where should my indoor garden be? I guess in the big room. Maybe this back corner? Yeah, I feel like this is gonna be a difficult conversation because Franklin is going through a lot right now. Franklin is really going through a crisis of feeling absent from his family, and I understand that. But I also don't want anyone to feel like, I don't want this to feel like we're coming off insensitive, but I also just don't feel like this is a conversation that can happen on stream, because there's gonna be so many people who are like, no, I just disagree. You know, people are already getting all heated about the landlord conversation, and it's just, I just feel like this is going to be a conversation that no matter how it turns out, somebody's going to get their feelings hurt and somebody's going to get upset about it. And that's not what I would like to happen. I just feel like Franklin is really going through some stuff right now, and we need to be respectful of that and be understanding of that. And maybe we need to transfer the conversation to something else. But Franklin, please understand that I am thinking about you, and if there's any other way that I can help, I will try my best. You don't want to no, you're not causing a problem. You're not causing a problem. This is just a conversation that, whether or not you were involved, this is still a conversation that is going to go sour, because this is a conversation that people get so upset about. This has nothing to do with you, Franklin. The conversation of landlords and renting and housing and stuff is just something that gets people heated and gets people emotional, and I just don't want you to feel like, because you're struggling and you're going through something, that I don't want you to take any of these heated personal, these heated things as personal, because they're not. People just get really upset that it's so hard to afford to live, and I just don't want it to be. I just don't want anyone to feel hurt or offended or upset, you know. You can afford a loan. You could look at a business loan to purchase like vending machines, much less work than on the road driving and go home whenever you're done. Ooh. Vending machines is a good idea. Dispenser like gumballs, I thought. Yeah, so I know that, like, okay, so at work, and I'm not going to disclose the company that I work for, but we actually do have like third-party vendors come in that do fill things like that. Like, we have somebody who literally like fills our Hallmark cards. Like, we have somebody who comes in and like specifically like fills our like gift card displays. Like, we don't do that. We're not responsible for that. That's all like third-party stuff. And I do believe that those are like franchised. Like, I do think that like people franchise them, and it's like you own like X amount of stores or something like that. Yeah. And that's like passive. Like, other, like, you can just be like, all right, Joe Schmo, you go fill this store. Joe Schmo, you go fill this store, you know? Something like that. Okay. He got a free bandana and an ice cream treat. Oh my god, that's so cute. That's so cute. My friend Santa was even... Really? Who is he? Joe Schmo sounds like a smart guy. All right, so we went to... What is under my... Look at... What is under my house? There's like a sand shark under my house. Look at him. You're making a mess. You're making a mess. Come on. Good old Joe Schmo. But yeah, like I said, I always want this to be a place where people feel comfortable, and this conversation, I feel like, was going to get heated no matter if there was personal people involved. All right, so I went there. All right, I went... Food. Oh, I should get more water, probably. Water. What are you doing? I'm like so lost because I haven't played this in like a week. So I'm like, what was I even doing? Like, what was the point of what I was even doing?
Fluid intake immediately.
I am! I'm literally drinking right now. Relax. Okay. That's done. That's done. Alright, I've got... Sure. Okay.
This is an automated distress signal from Life Pod 12. Coordinates attached. Warning. Life Pod has sunk beyond safe diving distance. Do not attempt retrieval without submersible support.
Signal
Yeah, but how deep?
Uploaded to PDA.
Yeah, but how deep is that? Sunk to the ocean bed. It's only 250 away, but it's gonna be really deep. Show nails? They're pretty. Like, they're actually like... Hold on. They're actually like... It's hard to see, but they're like... They've got like a shimmer, like a unicorn shimmer coat on them. So they're actually like pearlescent. Yeah. Thanks. I was actually, I was kind of pissed because they came out really, really orange, and then I put that top coat on, and now they're like really kind of corally pink, and they're cute. It wouldn't be a viable option for me because of my need to keep my insurance. Maybe something else is viable. Passive income, passive income, passive income. There's other ways to make I mean, there's fucking crypto mining, for God's sakes. Like, there's other ways to make passive income. I'm sure we'll think of something. I'm sure there's something out there, Franklin. I know you're stressing right now, but there's stuff out there. There's things out there. There's other insurances out there, too. There's better insurances out there. I know. That's what I was gonna say. Like, crypto mining is terrible, but like there's ways. There's the laziest, worst ways possible to make money. Like, that's what I meant. Is like, it's out there. Like, there's shitty fucking ways to make money are out there. Like, we'll think of something is what I meant. It just came out poorly. If you make enough income at whatever you do, vending machines, you just buy insurance. That's true. You can just get your own insurance. Tread carefully. People have burned their houses down. Yeah, that's not what I meant. I don't mean do crypto mining. I meant, like, there are passive fucking ways to make money. We just have to find one. They're out there is what I meant. Stop yelling at me. I'm bad at words. Stop yelling at me. A get in chat. I'm gonna get rich off Etsy. I mean, that's it. I was gonna say, like, I didn't want to like put any more pressure, but I was gonna ask, like, Franklin, do you have any skills? Like, do you have any talents that you could monetize, like on Etsy or something like that? Like, even if it's silly stuff, like, even if it's like I could do calligraphy.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
What did Brosif say? Hold on. What did Brosif say? Stream your checking and maybe it'll take off. You can make a couple extra bucks. That's true. You don't think UPS? I think if you don't disclose any locations or the business, I think you can, because I've seen people who stream at undisclosed Amazon, and like they have to, like, they can't show like their shirt that says, like, it can be done, you just can't disclose where you are. That works. That's crazy. What works? Oh, my redeem? Yeah, that's my first sale. Wait, for real, Steph? For what? No, Steph, tell me. What are you selling on Etsy? I didn't know this. Tell me. Johnny Deep, I love it. Thank you. You're gonna lurk for a bit? No problem, Franklin. We're here for you. We're here for you. We can do calligraphy? Yeah, we'll think of something. We'll think. Just, I know. Franklin's having a tough time. If he needs to lurk, he can go lurk. He needs some time. He can have some time. I designed some random fun t-shirts and wait, so do you have like a Cricut? Wait, Steph, do you have like a... wait, you have not told me any of this. You need to send me your stuff. For real. Like, can you custom make stuff? So, like, can people give you stuff that they want you to make? Steph, you didn't tell me this. No one tells me anything anymore. Like, I really feel so, like, disconnected from everybody. I guess on Canva and Pod. Do a Printify, then list it on Etsy. Ooh. That's really cool. Good for you, Steph. That's actually really awesome. Oh, I didn't read the dog fact. Hold on, I like to read them. The world's smartest dogs are thought to be 1, the border collie, 2, poodle, and 3, the golden retriever, and the dumbest dog is believed to be the Afghan hound. The Afghan hound just looks like a stoner dog, so that fits. That matches. Don't feel bad. I've been quite quiet about it because I was kind of embarrassed until I got some stuff I was actually proud of. Steph, I want to see. I definitely, like, please send me your link. I would love to see it. I will share it with everybody who's looking. Like, I 100, you support me and I 100% will support you. Oh, my nose itches. Right. 2 of those. And 1 more of those. Okay, and I can't put any more. Okay, cool. Cocker Spaniels used to be incredibly smart, and then we inbred them so much that now are just beautiful dum-dums. They are beautiful dum-dums. I love supporting my friends on Etsy. I do too. Honestly, so Eris, you guys all know Eris, my emote artist Eris. She has an Etsy shop. If you guys are interested in checking her stuff out. You know, she just sells like generic emote packs and just generic stuff for stream and whatever. But I'll like buy stuff on her Etsy shop just like all the time, like her Pokemon emotes and stuff, and she always DMs me and she's like, what are you doing? Like, I will give you these emotes, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, like, I want to support you, let me support you. And she's like, I will give you these emotes for free. Ooh, I forgot to change those. Thanks for the reminder. I have to change the yeah, I have to change the command. Everyone say your dog's breeds. Yes, everyone to everyone say what kind of dogs you have. I have a Yorkie and a Chihuahua. A Chihuahua. Mine's a Black Lab German Shepherd. Oh my god, that's probably so stinking cute. That's probably so stinking cute. I'm hoping to sell some 3D printing stuff locally soon. I can't produce enough stuff to sell on Etsy yet. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true, Wolfie. You can always start an Etsy shop and just like list what you've got one at a time, you know. And then there's things that you can like obviously like mass produce. Like you can mass produce like Triforces, and you can mass produce like the Hylian Shield, and you know, like they're like you can probably do like the, I'm gonna fuck this up, like World of Warcraft, like isn't there like a horde symbol, and isn't there like a, don't tell me I'm not gonna mess it up. I can't remember. What's the other one? Shit, what's the other one? Whatever, shut up. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. You can mass produce like random shit that you know will sell while you're doing the stuff that you like are passionate about, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. Decided to, yeah, exactly. A lab mix and a Shih Tzu mix, that's right. Give the dogs a cookie. Hooey, I will take the cookie out. And if any of them are like out and about and stirring, I will give it to them, but I don't want to wake them up. I don't want to wake them up for it. The stuff I'm wanting to do right now is fairly custom stuff with not so quick turnaround depending on size. I'll share some photos. Yeah, but that's the thing, is like people who are looking for that will know. You know what I'm saying? Like the people who are looking for it will know that it's not going to be an overnight thing, if that makes sense. It was a Rubik's inside a Rubik's inside a box. Oh, it was a Rubik's inside a Rubik's inside a box. No one needs that. Okay. But Hooey, why? but Hooey, why? Why? Okay, I need to get. All right, so my stuff is growing, so that's great. Stuff is growing. We love to see it. Wait, is there a spot in this? Shit. There's 2 spots in this. Oh, there was a shit. It was a project for school. Oh, okay. I thought you were like fucking around. Like I was like, why? That's so mean. I know there are people on Etsy probably using 10 machine print farms to do what I want to do. I can pretty much do custom stuff at volume. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like you're like me and you're just like being hard on yourself before you're even trying, because that's also what I do, and I could never possibly relate to something like that. Okay, so I'm trying to decide like what I want to do. Like I want to go to the river, but I don't want to necessarily build the prawn suit yet. But I need to. All right, so I need 2 aerogels. Okay, let's do this. I think the rich riches around where I live have a better market to start with. True. But Etsy is like, I don't know. Okay, so like here's how I look at it, okay? Like when I'm shopping on Etsy, I'm gonna look at 2 things. I'm gonna look at quality, like if it's good, if it looks good, if it looks like it's done well, and I'm gonna look at price. Like if it looks like it's done well, but it's like really fucking expensive, but this one looks like it's done like kind of like well, but it's half the price, like I'm gonna go for the other one. I'm gonna go for the kind of good half the price. They'll put shit on a whim if it looks interesting. That's what I'm saying, like mass produced shit. Like literally, like look at my, I can't stand up because I got shorts on. Can you see it in the background? Can you? I don't think you can. No, you can't. I have like a Triforce like right here. It's just a little yellow Triforce that's like 3D printed. Just print a shit ton of those. Print a bunch of Hylian shields. Like make a shit ton of money on stupid shit while you're trying to pay for your passion project. Come on. Come on, guys. Come on. All right, I want to try that. No, this one. 15? I can't go that deep. I can only go 900. No. It's 250 deep, right? It's 1500 away. I'm gonna go see. iPhone cases, everyone needs an iPhone case except for people who don't use iPhones. Like me. Johnny Deep. Alright guys, I want to know one interesting thing you did this weekend. Even if only you think it's interesting, I want to know. Kind of my plan with the second printer, I'm probably going to be banging out some print-in-place articulated toys. Let me see an example somewhere that I can put. What's a print-in-place articulated toy? I feel stupid. Phone cases. There you go, phone cases. That's true. I thought about making phone cases for a while. Like I bought like a bunch of like really fun, like I bought a shit ton of cases from the dollar store, and then I bought a bunch of like really fun like stickers and some like lacquer, and I was gonna like make a shit ton of phone cases, and then I made like 5 and I sold like 5 to my friends, and then I was like, this is a lot of work. I cooked with my mom and I didn't burn the house down. Let's go. Like the slugs and the dragons. What are you saying? You're making words up. I angry cleaned my garage, and then I cleaned my whole car. Let's go. I didn't do anything because Icarus worked for the first time in months, and I was very excited about it, and I played it a lot. And then I got back into Fallout because I hadn't played it all weekend, and I started rebuilding my house, which I need to finish after stream, because if I like try to play with like a half-built house, I'll... Oh my god, I can't stop to drink right now. Are you serious?
Vital signs stabilizing.
Steam cleaned the seats. Oh my god, I want a steam cleaner. Can someone let me use their steam cleaner, please? I need a steam cleaner, but I want one of the little ones. Like, I don't want one of those huge ones, you know? Ooh, what's this? Have we been here? Whoa. Have we been here? Whoa! Look at that! Oh, I can't go there. That's gonna hurt me. What is this? Is this the MGM Grand? Well, I just lagged a little bit. What is this? A giant bulb. Can I, like, do something with it? Can I grow one? A common bulb. Wait, so there's different sizes? Oh my god, they're so cute. Are you a baby bulb? A pygmy bulb! Oh, you're so cute. What? You're zappy. I don't think I've been here. Oh. No, 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 no. I will not. I will not. I will not swim towards you. Leave me alone.
Detecting volcanic activity and
I will
several
not.
unusual electromagnetic signatures in the region.
Yeah, I know.
Exercise
It just tried to
caution when
eat
diving
my
deeper.
brain. Didn't you see it? Where's my marker? Oh no. Oh no, Chad, I got distracted. There it is. What is hitting me? Stop. I don't think I've been here in my last one. My last playthrough. Like, I don't remember these little glowy bulbs. It's a little scary down here. Wait, hold on, let me catch up with chat. It's a bit of a drive. It is, I mean, it's a bit of a drive, but I mean, it's me, Aya, you know, it's me.
Integrating new PDA
It'll be
data.
fine. It'll be fine. Actually, like, I think I like want to save up for one, I think. But they're small. They're toys that can be moved and posed without having to be assembled. They print out all in one go and are ready to go as soon as they finish printing. Sometimes you just have to free the joints up. Oh. So are they like figurines? Or are they like action figures? Because I know that there's like a difference. So like an action figure is like you pose it and like move it and like do stuff with it. And like a figurine is like you just kind of like pose it and leave it. I feel like I should like explore and stuff here, but I don't know what I'm looking for. Can you like stop? Come on. Why are you guys such buttholes? Why are you being buttholes? Ooh. That's so pretty. What are these? I can't get any of this. I need to mine all of this. Pink. I posted 2 in art. I didn't print that. My best friend did. But it's okay. Okay. I'll look in a few. Abyssal. Yes, that's what we used to have. But like, I don't like using my mom's shit because she's always like, "Be careful. Don't do this. Don't do this." And I'm like, I fucking like, I'm a grown ass adult. Like, you don't have to talk to me like I'm 5. Okay. Like, I know how to use stuff. So I just like don't. So I just like don't use stuff because she always is like has to say something. So I just want my own. I just want one. It's basically what I'm saying. And I want to have to rent one from like the Walmart. I love that emote. I don't know why. The kind of the curious little elf is funny. My mom thinks I'm 4 when I'm 21. Yeah, my mom thinks I'm like 15 and I'm very much older than 15. Like she literally, like I'm saying, like she literally acts like I'd never know what I'm doing. And I'm like, it kind of is like rude at this point. Like that's why like I order myself food instead of cooking because I just don't feel like listening to her complain about, you didn't put this fork exactly the exact spot that you got it. It's 2 millimeters to the left. You left 1 single crumb on the bottom of the toaster. Like, she literally has OCD. Like, I made something, and she was like, "Do you have one of my plates?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Do you have one of my plates? There's 7 plates down there, and I have 8 plates." And I was like, "Yeah, I have a plate, you fucking weirdo." Like, yeah? Why do you count your plates? It's so weird that they look purple until you get close and then they're green. I had a Bissell Spot Bot for a while, but the seals went bad on it, and since I grabbed it at a yard sale, I didn't bother trying to fix it. Yeah, I get that. Maybe because I act like a child. Shut up. I also act like a child, but I don't want to be treated like one. I just want to act like one. Shut up. Shut up. Because your mom loves you. Also, my mom does that. She counts her bowls and forks. Yeah, it's so weird to me. It's just so weird to me. Like, I'm always like, yes, I'm using it. Like, is that okay? Is it okay that I'm using it? Power transmitter. What's that? I'm sick of being an elder millennial. I feel old enough without elder. Yeah, exactly. Without being elder being attached. Yeah. Same. Same. Bro, I keep stuff in my room. I know. Honestly, like, it's kind of sad that, like, I'm a grown-ass adult, but, I literally keep, like, paper plates and plastic, like, silverware in my room because I'm just like, I don't feel like, number one, I don't feel like doing dishes because who wants to do dishes? Like, you're out of your mind if you think you want to do dishes. And number two, I don't feel like listening to my mom being like, do you have 1 fork and 2 plates? And I'm like, oh my God, yes, I'm using them. Like, sometimes she'll make something and she'll put it on a plate. She's like, bring this down as soon as you finish eating. And I'm like, no, put that on a paper plate right now because you know I'm not bringing that down. You know I'm not bringing that down until I come down in the morning. Like, get out of here. Because I get treated like a baby. No zappy boy, please go. Honestly, the zaps can just like relax. Like they can just seriously, they can relax for just like 5 minutes. That'd be wonderful. Wait, where's my stuff? Where is it? Where is it? They treat you like a child till you're 30 and then they act like you're a bag of That's what I'm saying. Like, now she's like, you're old enough to know better. I'm like, yeah, but you still treat me like I don't know better. So am I old enough to know better or not? Make up your mind. But also, I'm very admittedly lazy. So anything that I can just get away with not doing until like the absolute last minute, I'm gonna get away with not doing until the absolute last minute. They still treat me like I'm a kid. Got scolded for walking to the store at night. I'm 31. Listen. 30 Seconds to Mars is making new music. And so I was like, oh, like 30 Seconds to Mars is making new music. Like they'll probably go on tour soon. Like they're probably not going to come here. Like I imagine they'll go probably like one of the bigger cities in Tennessee. Like they'll probably go to like Memphis, or they'll probably go to like, maybe they'll go to Nashville or something. You know, and I was like, so I'll like probably like take like a weekend trip to go see them. My mom was like, no, you're absolutely not like going by yourself. And I was like,
Welcome aboard, Captain.
well, if I have to, then I will. And she's like, no, you're absolutely not. Like, you're not going by yourself. Like, you have to find someone to go with. And I'm like, first of all, like, bitch, I don't know why you don't understand. I don't have any friends here in Tennessee. All of my friends are in Connecticut. Like, what, like, who am I supposed to go with? So I asked Chris, because Chris is my only friend in the state of Tennessee. And he was like, I really don't, like, want to see 30 Seconds to Mars. And I was like, God damn it. 30 Seconds to Mars is what? Yeah, they released 2 new songs. 2 new songs. Yeah, Stuck and Life is Beautiful, and they're both really good. 30 Seconds to Mars is my favorite band, if you guys don't know. I'm a little groupie for 30 Seconds to Mars. I want people to watch Miss Marvel because it's amazing, but I want to tell them to watch it when ABC airs it as a strike filler because I support. Wait, how is ABC airing Miss Marvel? Isn't it a Disney? Are they? I mean, I guess they're allowed to do that, but isn't it a Disney? Oh fuck, I'm not watching my oxygen. Can you scan, please? What are you doing? Disney has owned a beast. No, I know, but like, I didn't think that they would be showing. I didn't think that they'd be showing their exclusives on TV because, like, that's kind of the allure of having the subscription, I guess, is more what I'm referencing. Because, like, why have the subscription then? Is this not the laser cutter? Oh, no, this is the laser cutter. Netflix password sharing restrictions are so fucking goofy. They really are. They cancel all their good shows and then do that. I know, they're doing it to fill the programming gaps. No, I get it, I get it. I guess it just seems, like, silly that they wouldn't... They don't have, like, reruns or, like, I don't know. That's a big slap in the face to people who pay for your fucking subscription service, don't you think? Like, oh yeah, no, we're just gonna air it later when people are striking. Like, okay, cool. I still pay for fucking Disney Plus, though, you douchebag. Yeah, douchebag. Oh, I need water, I'm gonna die.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Okay, gimme. Gimme! Why is, like, stuff acting funny? Come here. Gimme. Thank you.
Integrating new PDA data.
New PDA data.
New blueprint acquired.
Acquired. Give me. Oh my god, I can't eat my nutrient brick. Okay, got my nutrient brick. Alright, am I done in here? Can't open that. Okay, I got that. I don't think I can scan any of these chairs. I think they're... Yeah, see, done. What's this? Scanner. Stasis rifle. Couldn't you just go? She can say no. I mean... Yes, I can just go. I can just do what I want. I'm a grown-ass adult. I can just go. I can do it. But a lot of times I don't do stuff just so I don't have to hear her complain. You know, like sometimes it's just not worth listening to her complain. It's a way for them to have new content. Other people don't miss Marvel, despite being the highest rated Marvel project is fairly low views. Still being new for a lot of people. I guess so. I guess like I don't know. I just get pissed when like I pay for something that they end up giving away for free. Like it's just like, why did I pay for it then? Yar har fiddle dee dee, being a pirate. Oh my gosh. You are a pirate. And it entices people to get a subscription they don't already have. Yeah. Get out me house! Get out me house! Alright, I think I'm done in that ship of Runeskies. But I should probably fill up some of my storage here. Oh, that one's done. Go. Fill her up. Fill her up! And fill her up. Okay. I powered everything, almost everything. I used to, and then one single time, I still to this day am not sure where it came from or how it happened or what, but I downloaded a game one single time. It wasn't a game, it was one Sims expansion. It was one Sims expansion, I'll never forget. And my mom got an email and she's like, did you download The Sims? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I got an email that said that like, our internet's gonna be shut off for like illegal activity because you downloaded The Sims and this and this. And I was like, what the actual fuck is that? And then I was like, all right, I'm not gonna pirate for a little bit. Like, I have no idea where that came from. No, I know, and that's why I was confused. And I was like, I told my mom not to open it because I was like, I don't think that they should have that information because I use a VPN, but okay. Comcast is also super shitty about it, yeah. FBI can't see me, really? Yeah, unless for some reason it just like wasn't functioning properly or I don't know. But yeah, I don't have it anymore. Since I've moved, I haven't gotten a new one. But I also don't download shit anymore, so. Okay. I feel like there's not a ton else like over here, right? They snitched to you to your mom. I know. You downloaded Only Up. Has anyone played Only Up? I feel like it looks like so stressful. Like it doesn't look fun, it just straight up looks stressful. Sometimes I'll put out a game expansion movie on Parasites. Oh, that might be what happened. Because I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, there's literally no fucking way. Like, I downloaded like, I had never paid for a Sims pack ever. Like, why did that one Sims pack, like, flag or whatever? But yeah, you might be right, Wolfie. Like, the actual download itself might have been bugged. Yeah, because she came in and she's like, delete it off your computer right now. I was like, I don't think deleting it's gonna, like, change anything. Oh, I am low on oxygen. If anyone wants to be a champ and give me some oxygen before I run out trying to find my way back. That's my thing. Where's my thing? Where's my thing? There it is. It's stressful. There's really something like The Sims where the game connects to the internet. Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. I wanted to get back into The Sims at some point. Because it was always something I loved doing, but it brought a lot of weirdos to the stream, if I'm being completely honest. If I'm being really honest, it brought a lot of really strange people to the stream. There's no Master Ball, Hui. Why would you use a Master Ball on a Squovit? What is wrong with you? You must really like Squovit. Ooh, here's another vent. I need to repair my ship. I need to repair my ship. Peter Griffin squirrel. I know, honestly. I'm losing it. You must really fucking like that squirrel. Like, seriously. Get out of here, Hui. Get out of here. Hui's like, fat squirrel, mine. I need it. I need it.
Self-scan complete. Bacterial infection in your system is progressing. Detecting skin irritation and immune system response. Further data required to identify bacterial strain.
I don't want further infection so you can analyze me. I want to not be infected. Oh no, my inventory's full. Can I eat something? Yes. Where'd it get back? Where'd it go? There it is. Yep. It's like stupid hard to see right now. Like, holy shit. He's my favorite. He's adorable. Listen, he can be your favorite, but a Master Ball on that shit? I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, we gotta go home to Trem. Cutest Pokemon? What's the cutest Pokemon? Obviously, it's Dragonair. No, honestly, like, any of the evolutions are up there for cuteness. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of cute ones. Molduga's pretty cute. Molduga, that's from Zelda. Oh. A Molga, that's the one I'm thinking. Molduga, that's the big sand beast in Zelda. Not Jolteon. No, I didn't say all of them. I said a lot. Like, Leafeon is really cute. Sylveon's really cute. Umbreon. Glaceon. Oh, you think Glaceon looks dumb? I think Glaceon's cute. I think Glaceon's cute. It looks like a bowl cut. It does look like a little bowl cut, but it's so stupid and so cute. Oh, look, here's another shipwreck. It's a small shipwreck, though. I think I've been here. Snivel, the grass one. Oh, Snivel? 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 Schnivel? There's a lot of cute ones. There's a lot of cute ones up there. Like, what's, I can never think of Pokemon names, like, when I'm talking about Pokemon. And then, like, when, like, I'm not talking about Pokemon, like, I know all the Pokemon names, like, it's nothing. It's absolutely ridiculous. Snivy? Yeah. Snivy, Snivy, Snivel. I just can't spell. It's okay, I can't speak, so it works out for everyone. Alright, what's this? This is lead. What's this? Lithium. I have a couple lithiums, okay. My foot's asleep. Okay. What's in here? Magnetite, which I don't. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Snome. Oh, I like Snome. I say Snome. Is it Snom? I don't know. I say Snome because, like, snow. Snome. But apparently that's not right. Or people think it's not right and they make fun of me for it. So I don't know, okay? I don't know. Greninja? The penis on a bench Pokemon? I say Snom. Like snot. I say Snome. Like snow. Alright, I need to drop you so you can hatch. I don't know what you're gonna hatch into. We're gonna see. Alright, I want to get rid of everybody except for Zappy Boy. What happens if I put them in... Like, can I... Can I fuel the base with this fish that I grew? Oh, amazing. No, it won't fit. Oh, what about Ditto? I like Ditto. I like Ditto. Shiny Ditto. Is it really the blue? It's Snow and Nom. There for Snom. Snom. Bop, 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 bop. I like your little Clodsire. Clodsire. The Pokemon card for Snom very much looks like a penis on a bench. Does it really? Oh my god, I looked it up. Who approved that? Put it in PokeChat. Put it in PokeChat. Put it in PokeChat. Keep hitting escape instead of tab. Like a dummy. Give me fruit. 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 Give me fruit. Fruit. Oh my gosh, look at my shit is growing. It's growing. Alright, so then we plant another tree. No, come here. Come here. No, I don't want to use planter. There we go. Tree. Okay. Okay. Now. I have got some more salt, so I can saltify some fishes. I can't breathe. Oh my god, did you do it? Hold on, let me look. Bro. Why? Why? Why is that a thing? Oh my god. First of all, it does kind of look like a penis, but also it straight up looks like a fucking cheeked up booty. Like, it's a little cheeked up booty at the same time as well. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They did make him a chode. It's ridiculous. It's so bad.
This is Altera HQ. This may be your only communications window. We can't send a rescue ship all the way out there, so Aurora, you're just gonna have to
Automod
do
is
it
doing
that
its
way.
best right now.
We've uploaded blueprints to the ship's computer.
Sandwich run, you in?
Yeah, give me a second. Black box data
Ooh, a
shows
sandwich
the high
run?
security
Speaking of.
terminal in the captain's quarters is still functional.
Becky's leaving like in 5 minutes.
All right, tell Becky I'll just take the regular.
The regular.
Yeah, she'll know what I mean. The code should
And
be...
if she doesn't,
Just tell her the regular, dude.
okay.
The
If
code...
I say regular, she's like, what's the regular? I have to come all the way back up here.
The code should be 2679. The regular's just a ham and cheese.
Okay, would you just say ham and cheese?
Ham and cheese.
Okay.
I have to go back? You're kidding me. 2679. Wow, that's bullshit. Two, 6, 7, 9. I have to go back to the fucking Aurora. I have to go back to the Aurora, seriously. I'm gonna die. The fucking Leviathan's in there. The Aurora that we exploded like 4 times. Yeah, the Aurora that chat unexploded and re-exploded several times. That's the one. That would be the one. I have no place to put all this salt. Okay, we have one more salt. That's fine. All right, so I have to go back into the Aurora to the captain's quarters. I hear you. Knock it off, sir. I hear you. Okay. You want a pet turtle? Okay, I need someone's motivation because the urge to binge eat is strong and it's hard to fight it. It's a big struggle. Oh my god, Aya. Binge eating is one of my absolute, like, biggest, like, vices. Especially because I am a big boredom binge eater. Where, like, I won't necessarily need anything other than just, like, my time being occupied, and I'll eat. Luna Roboto, and oh my gosh, okay. I'll have to see. Need to be cheeked up. Honestly, I have a lot of questions about why there's a lot of characters that are cheeked up the way that they are. And it's a lot of Disney characters, if we're being honest. Yeah. There's a lot of design choices there that, questionable at best. Okay, let's get some fruits. Eat some fruits. Okay. Perfect. Okay, now. I've got water, I've got food. I've got one food. Alright, I think I'm okay. We did that. Alright, so let's go back to the Aurora. Wait, does that mean, am I gonna need fire extinguishers again? I'm probably gonna need fire extinguishers again, aren't I? I've only got one. Shit. Double cheeked up? Yeah. Usually gets in the drink instead, however not was hitting me bad. Really? I'm having IBS flare up and I really need to not eat. Oh yeah, that'll make your stomach so upset. That'll make your stomach so upset. Alright. Fire extinguishers is literally just titanium. Alright, perfect, because I have too much titanium here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect, that's 3 fire extinguishers. Weird thing about this Incredible is that with her power, she is choosing. Wouldn't you? I'm sorry. Are you implying that if you had the choice to modify your body and bend and shape your body any which direction, that you would not also make yourself incredibly thick with like as many C's as possible? Because I would. I would have the biggest boobs, the thickest booty, and the skinniest waist. I would be so unhealthy looking, but I would be every man's dream. Because that's all they want. Alright, let's see if we can do this a second time. Technically a third time, because the first time Trem unexploded this. And not get the Leviathan again. Because that'd be great if I could not have the Reaper Leviathan a third time. I would too. That's what I'm saying. Like, would you not? You guys are all liars if you're saying you would not make yourself double cheeked up. Like, would you straight up choose to give yourself a flat ass? Like, why would you? Why? Alright, let's look for the Leviathan so we can go not that way. I would snatch that waist. That's what I'm saying. I would look so unhealthy, but men would actually, for the first time ever, want to date me. So, you know. Win-win for everybody. These things, I don't think you understand. Ah! Fuck! I'm trying to avoid something very specific! These things honestly scare me. Like, this is the scariest part of this whole game, is the Leviathans. Alright, I don't see him. I don't see him. I don't see him. I don't see him. Just stay floating. Just stay floating. The first time I played this game, like last year, I didn't even come across the Leviathan until I was leaving the Aurora. Like, I did the whole Aurora part without seeing the Leviathan. Alright. Wait, hold on. Wait, is this someplace I can go? Oh no. I didn't bring my thing because I didn't think I might have to come back a third time because I don't think I've gone over here. Yeah, I don't think I've been in here. I think I've only gone this way. A Magmar? Shit, I don't think I'm gonna catch that one in enough time. Yeah, see, I've only gone this way. I haven't gone the other way. So I have to come back again when I have, because I didn't bring my, I don't know why. I didn't bring my pulse rifle. Which was stupid. I don't know why I didn't bring that. Why? Who fucked it up? Oh, are you just noticing that it's fucked up from now? From the other day? Last night? Yeah. Yeah. Wolfie snuck a little edit in there, so we had to reset. It happens. It happens. We'll get there. We'll get to 1,000. Once we get to 1,000, like, we're unstoppable. Okay. So this way. An extra 5 should be excused. Well, we couldn't, the problem is that you can't see what the edit is. Like, it doesn't let you, like, see, like, what the edit was. Nix! Thank you!
Waste Talker Nix just resubscribed for 12 months.
Nix a whole year! Let's go! Nick, thank you so much for a whole year! That's so exciting. A whole year in the server log. I looked because I thought, I was like, no, I can see that. But no, it only shows like edits by like mods, like unless there's someplace else that I just didn't see. All right, Prawn Bay. Yes, okay, so up there is, okay. Thank you, Nix. That makes me so happy. And it makes me happy that you are happy here. Thank you so much. Y'all are awesome. You're awesome, Nix. You are awesome. You guys have, like, seriously, like, not in, like, a sad, pathetic way, but just, like, in a, I don't think I would have just kept up with this. Like, I don't think I would have maintained this. But, like, I probably would not have still been streaming if it weren't for just, like, the, like, amazing people. Oh, you fucker. The amazing people that I have come across. Who stole one of my gear? You fuckers. 2679. Okay. 2. No. That's 5. 2, 6, 7, 9. When you see this, I wonder if it's a bot thing. I don't know. But yeah, I looked. I did look. Because I was like, if it's something silly like, oh, I just snuck a little extra period in there or whatever, I would have left it, but...
Integrating new PDA data.
Neptune escape rocket. Oh my god, that's like, okay. Okay, that's actual progress. Alright, so I have to leave, and I have to fucking come back with the pulse grenade, the pulse gun, because there's the whole thing there. Man, that's annoying. No, you guys, honestly. Like, I totally got distracted by the game, but I don't think I would have been streaming still to this day if it wasn't for just like the awesome people that I have met through streaming. Like every day that I stream and every day that you guys show up, I always ask like, what did I do? Wait, did it work? Did the actual confetti part work? I missed it if it didn't work. I missed if the confetti part worked or not. Confetti, it worked? Okay, good. It worked, I'm glad. But yeah, honestly guys, like, thank you for keeping me company and for supporting just my weirdness and my nerdiness and just hanging out with me while I play video games. You know? Wanna stream again? Like, maybe someday streams this week. But I'm also gonna start door dashing, so I have some money coming in. You could do both. You could do both. DoorDash streams. Okay. Alright. So. That's huge. Where's the Reaper? I just want to see where he is so I can, like, avoid him. But it doesn't want to show me where he is, so... And I have to come back again! I might not. I don't know what's back there. Like, is it even worth? Like, is it even worth going back there? For what's behind that door? Like, what if I go back there and I go and scan that, like, I go behind that door and it's like a light that I already have or something. Not like there's any penalty for having something already, but I just don't want to have to make the trip again, you know? I've been in there already. I also, like, I don't want to cheat per se, but I feel like I want to look up, like, I want to look up, like, a map just so I can kind of keep track of the places that I've already been, like, just, like, the shipwrecks mostly that I've already been to, because some of them are hard to, like, figure out that you've already been in there until you start exploring it and you see, like, a door that you've cut open or something. Okay. Now, I have to make a prawn suit. Like, that's the next big project. The big project. Okay. So. What we have to do story-wise is I have to clear my infection somehow. Because the ship doesn't let you leave if you're infected. And I also haven't found the teleporters yet. I found those last time. Where did I find those last time? Where did I find those last time? All right, what time is it? 10? All right, so we've got 2 hours left. So, real quick, I'm gonna pee. So I'm gonna BRB because I'm gonna pee. And then, I guess we're gonna go into the Lost River. No, we're gonna make a prawn. Okay, I'm gonna pee. We're gonna make a prawn, and then we're gonna go to the Lost River. So hang tight, guys. Here, let me go. I'll go someplace that's actually good to look. I'll go look at the aquarium. Oh, maybe we can see what's hatched. Oh, it hasn't hatched yet. All right, maybe you guys can see it hatch. Maybe you'll watch it hatch. All right, I'll be right back. I'm back. Pinecone. Let me see. Some Steam games don't want to let me do the Pinecone at the same time. So let's see. Let's see if Subnautica will let me. Oh, it looks like it's loading right up, so that's nice. There we go. Okay. Whee! All hail Pinecone! Ka-chow! 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 Okay. It did not hatch while I was gone. Okay. So this guy is not going to get any bigger because he's in the tank. Curious what that one's going to be. All right. All right, let's get the water. What are you doing? Okay, we got water. I didn't even need the, what do you call it? Like, I didn't even end up needing the fire extinguishers, so that was kind of a, not a waste, because, like, I've got a bajillion things of titanium, but it was kind of a waste, because I didn't end up using them. Okay. Now, I need... What are you doing? Do I want to go back to the Aurora, or should I just... I'm just going to continue. I'm just going to continue on. All right. I need aerogel, enameled glass. Do I have... All right, I've got this. Just one? No, I need 2 of those. All right. Got 1 enameled glass. 2 diamonds. 2 lead. Lead's here. No. Here. Yep. Okay. Aerogel. I don't remember how to make aerogel. I have 2. Haha. And then this thing? I need these, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because I believe that's... Yeah, a titanium ingot and then 2 lithiums. Okay. Got it. Titanium ingot. 2 lithiums. Here? Yes. Okay. Adapt. Adapt. Okay. Let's go make a prawn suit. Okay. Let's go make a prawn suit. Get out of here! Making my base all dirty. Alright, how deep can the prawn suit go, like, from the get? Like the base prawn suit.
When first piloting a prawn suit to feel a sense of limitless power. Prawn operators receive weeks of training.
I don't feel limitless power. Shut up.
You will have to make do with
that shit sucks. I hate piloting this thing. My nose itches. Pretend.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Alright, so if base voice is Alexa, what is prawn suit voice? Wait, how do I use my other hand? E? Ah, that's kind of weird. So is 900 my base? So 900 is how deep I can go in the prawn suit? Oh, see, I don't like that. How do you get out of, like, really, really deep, like, crevices? Are those my legs? Alright, I need something of mine. See, I want to go in the hole, but I'm scared. I'm scared to go in the hole and then fall. Be stuck there forever. I can't try almonds. I can't. I'm allergic. The prodigal child returns. Hi, Mock. How you doing? Good to see you. They make me feel nauseous, so it might help. Wait, do you want to feel nauseous? Alright. I got kinda... Alright, I'm kinda used to the movement again. Let's go back. Let's do some upgrades. I want to feel like not eating. So you want to feel sick. I see. Good, buddy. Have you been feeling it? I hear you talk about almonds. No, you're not a fan. I like them, but not all the time. It's not that I'm not a fan. I am allergic to almonds. As much as I would like to like them, I unfortunately cannot. And it sucks because... Why am I not moving? There we go. It sucks because one of my favorite, like, candy things is, like, toffee. And it's really hard to find toffee candy that does not have almonds in it. So I feel like... Oh my god, who did this? Gambit wildcard, why? Just enough to curb the appetite, but I don't want to actually get sick. I guess that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Almonds are everywhere. And like I said, like, I just want, like, a nice, like, toffee candy that doesn't have almonds in it, and they won't do that. They, like, won't give it to me. Hershey, like, the Hershey's Treasures, you know? They have almonds in them. Why have almonds? I get bingy and eat. That's what I'm saying. Like, I get snacky and bingy when I'm bored. One of my favorite things about crowd control is people that come in and redeem something and never say anything, and you're just like, cool. I'm here for your entertainment. Okay, how am I gonna get... Oh, I have to get my moth out of there. I gotta get Johnny Deep out of there. Oh, did we come up with a name for this guy? The suit? I feel like he's like a Kevin or something. Like it's like Karen and Kevin. Can help lurkers interact. Exactly.
Captain.
You can be part of the stream without having to be part of the stream. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Alright. Now. How am I gonna get this in here? Let's see. Can I just yum? Yum. Catch me. Catch me! Catch me! Okay, cool. Alright. Prawn suit upgrades. What do we got? Alright, the depth module. And then we need the drill. This, okay. The propulsion cannon? Do we need the propulsion cannon? Crystalline sulfur? I don't even have that. Recharges power cells in hot areas. Kyanite? Oh, I do have kyanite because of the fill 'em with junk redeem that someone did once. I have a couple things of kyanite. Alright, how do I unpin? Alright, I don't need that. And I don't need this. Okay. So I got our things to make, and I think I can make... Ah, go away! Look at, see, this is why I put you into the reactors. You little shitheads. You little shitheads. Right. What is that, though? Rude fish? I know, do you see him stirring up his poopy everywhere? What is that, though? Nickel? I don't have nickel. Why do you do this to me? All right, the drill. We need the drill. The drill. The drill's the first one we need. Titanium, lithium, and diamond. I can do that. That's fine. Titanium. Did it say 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. Yep. Okay, 4 diamonds. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, I have 1 kyanite. I need 2, so I can't even do that yet. Okay, and then, is that a lithium? Lithium is here, I think. Okay. Can I make this here? No, I have to go. Okay, gotta go back out. Hey, look at his little pizzies. Okay, we got the drill. Okay. Let's put the drill on. How do I put the... How do I... Oh, right here. Upgrades. Drill. Okay. That's... There's still 4 upgrade slots. I just put arms on. Fantastic. Okay. So we can unpin the drill arm. The torpedo arm. The propulsion cannon. I don't really need either of those. Okay, so I can't make that. Can't make that. And I can't make that. That's literally the only thing I can make with the prawn. Okay, so here we go. We can go drill at least. So I can... How am I gonna get to the Lost River from here? Like, it's so far. I just tried to put M to go to a map like a dummy. Like, it's gonna even... Like, that's even a thing. Look, it's so far, guys. Oh, you know what I can put on here, though, that I should have? Storage upgrades. Do I have a light? Is it just is the light just always on? No! It was a thing. Okay, huh. It was a day-night toggle. Okay. I was like, why can't I see shit? I don't know who did that, but thank you. I think I've searched here. This is gonna take so long, guys. I hope you all are ready, because this is gonna take so fucking long. Oh gosh, wait. I have to stop moving to pick stuff up? Oh my gosh. Ooh, drill! Let's test our drills. Oh, thank you, Nyx. I could not see shit, so thank you. No, come here. There we go. Okay, ready? Drill. How do I know when I'm done? Oh. Oh. To vehicle storage. That's pretty cool. I don't really, like, need salt. I have so much salt as is, but... I wanted to see what it was like. Okay, we're done. Okay. We're going... Where's our yellow marker? We lost our yellow marker. Here it is. It's so far away. Alright, let's go this way. I'm gonna go down here. I have this, whatever this is, I have this. I think that's the scanner room. Alright, we're getting close. It's over here. Alright, I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how we're gonna get back up. Probably just gonna have to, like, hop onto ledges, I imagine. Because I have to get to the Lost River, which is over there. Don't look down, guys. Don't look down. What on earth is a dupe-hider? It's an ugly-ass spider. Oh, I hate it. No, warpers, go away. Fuck off. Fuck off. No, fuck off. Okay. Now we go this way, I think. Wait, no? No. Need to be going further down. See? He's ugly! Our Mitch is nasty. I know, he's uggy. He's uggy. Okay, so... the music gets all weird and creepy. I just crashed into whatever that was. Lol. Right, so I thought I marked the river. Oh, here's goddamn warpers again. I feel like it only gets worse from here. I know. Ah! The warper. Oh. Hello. Ah, here we go. This is where I need to be. A pleasant change of pace now. Yeah, this is a pleasant change of pace, sure. Alright, we need stuff that I can't get otherwise. Why is there nothing here? Alright. I've got rubies. See, I need stuff. I need other stuff now. I need other stuff now. Here we go. Bakatha! God damn it.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
I said Fakatha. Fakatha. No, seriously, leave me alone, bro. Shut up. Why are you like this? Why? Why are you like this? Why are you like this? Fakatha. Fakatha. Why is there nothing to mine down here? I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Come on. Go. Bro! Piss off! I used to think when you were out of the suit. What did you do? Oh, I didn't see. To send you back to the shallows? Oh, it says if you... Oh, really? I was gonna say, I must have gotten back in my suit too fast because it says you can't use it when I'm in the suit. So honestly, I'm stuck. Must have gotten back in too quick. Oh my god, I'm literally stuck underneath that fucking sea thing right there. Come on, bro. God, I hate down here so much. I fucking hate down here so much. Just give me the shit to mine that's under the goo that I can't get. Like, where's all the stuff?
Seek fluid intake.
Void.
Vital signs.
Trying to scare people with Pokemon cries? Did it actually take your gold, Mock?
Unusually high concentrations of organic and fossilized remains.
But did it actually take it? I'm scared now if I get out of the fucking suit if it's gonna bring me back. Let me see. Hold on. Let me look at the thing. Oh yeah, it does show up. It does show up that you used it. I wonder if it's in queue. I wonder if it's in queue. Like, I'm afraid to get out of the... I'm afraid to get out. I'm not gonna lie. I've made it so far. But I need the stuff that's deep down here. Like, there's rubies. All right. I will redo it because it does let me like resend it. I will redo it in a minute. Ah, see, this is what I need. I just need this. This is what I need, please. Let me get some of this and then I'll redo it and I'll do it. Cause it does show it on the thing. Like it shows it on the list of effects that went through. Also, Mock, why would you do that to me? Why would you do that? What is this? What is this? Are you an egg? Ah! What are you? Why are you? Uranite crystal. Yeah, why would you do that to me, Mock? That was very mean. That was very mean. I need more of the other stuff, though. How am I gonna get out of here? Like, how am I actually gonna get out of here? Oh, storage has no room. Wow, fuck me then. Okay, that's cool, I guess. Can I get one? No, I can't. How do I check my suit? Do I have to get out to check my storage? All right, let me get out of the poison. Okay. This is scary as shit. See, look, there's a ghost Leviathan. Maybe if I stay still, he won't see me. Oh, he fucking sees me. Have I said I fucking hate it down here? Okay. And go over here. You can, I promise you that you can like totally chill with all of that. No! God, this is such a fucked up thing. Where the fuck am I? I don't even think I'll make it home. I think my thing's gonna die. It wouldn't have been so bad if my fucking base wasn't moved 7 times. I think this is honestly the only time that crowd control has actually pissed me off. This is a massive waste of my fucking time. I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna have to swim the rest of the way. Yep. We're swimming 600 meters, chat. Thanks, Wolfie. Not a battery, do I? Nope, no battery. I knew it too. I shouldn't have got out of my fucking suit. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I'm annoyed with myself because I knew to not get out of my suit. Ooh, what would you give me? Oh, that's what you call it. Hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid. Alright. I have to gotta take Johnny Deep all the way back over to our prawn suit, and then we're gonna have to leave. We're gonna have to leave our other one behind to get back in the prawn suit, to get the prawn suit back home. We have to go back to go get the sea moth, to go back home. It's gonna be a process. Oh, it's a little ray! Cute. Cute. You take my meds now? Take your meds now. Oh, I should probably take mine too. I should probably take mine too.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
I won't, but I should. Okay. That goes there. That goes there. Hi, Zeus. I can't believe I got out of my suit the whole time. I was like, don't get out of your suit, don't get out of your suit, don't get out of your suit, because it's gonna send you back home. And sure enough, the second I'm like, I need to get out of my suit because I need to fucking change my batteries or whatever it was I needed to do. Was it worth it, Krista? Was it worth it? You're pure rage today? Why? Why rage? Porque, tell me. Alright. What do I need? 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 Wait, can I make the thing now? No, I can't because it's in my suit. I can't even make the thing that I was collecting because it goes into the storage of your suit. That's right. Okay. Storage modules. Storage modules? Wait, regular storage modules. What do you need? Is it a need or a want? It's a need. It's always a need. Zeus, how are ya? Alright, I need storage modules. I think it's just like titanium. I don't think it's serious. Oh, I'm still so... I can't believe I got out. No, I knew it! Why did you get out of your suit? I'm so annoyed with myself. You're sleepy? Zeus, how have you been? How you doing? Other than work, what's new, Zeus? I feel like I never see you very much, or like when you pop in the Discord, it's always like you pop in and you're like, hi, and then you leave again. Everyone leaves. But I do miss you, Zeus. I miss having you around. You're always so fun. You're so fun to have around, and I miss you. Like, I wish you guys knew. Like, I straight up miss you dorks when I'm not streaming. Or like, if you haven't been around in a while, like, I always am like, where's so-and-so? Like, I think about you guys. Is that weird? Is it weird that I think about you guys? Working? Yeah. Same. Always working. All the time. All I do. Alright, so I have to pay more attention to the things at the bottom, because if Mock didn't tell me that and I had gotten out of my suit before, I would have been really mad. I mean, I was still mad, but I'm not mad at the person who used the points. I'm mad at myself because I was like, don't get out of your suit until you need to get back up. And then I got out the first opportunity I had. Need that money? I know. I just wish everything in the world wasn't so fucking expensive right now. This takes so long to go over here too. Right now, the other problem is... No. No. The other problem is, am I gonna be able to get over to where my thing is? Like, I went on, like, the sea floor down there. Where's my suit? Where is it? Where is it? It's over there. Holy shit. Okay. So I think it was this way. Oh, God, am I gonna be able to get back? Yes, and then this way down. Yeah, I hear zapping. Okay. Down, and then this goes further down. It's only like 700 and change down, I think. I'm pretty sure I can make it down to the front. Alright, we're getting close. Alright, so here's the river, which is not where we were. We were this... Okay, so... Alright, can I change this? Where's DJ's marker? There it is. Alright, so we're gonna change this one to... call this one the skull, I think? Wait, where's the where is he? Oh, I guess there's not. I thought I heard it. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna call this one the skeleton, I guess? A duplicate name. Skull. That's fine. Okay. And then we go up. Shit, if I can't find my way back to my prawn, I'm actually gonna be really upset. Okay, so here is this, okay. And then... this. And this goes further down, right? Why does the music change so, like, eerily? What the... I got stuck on nothing there. Alright, this is not... This isn't right. Damn it. God, I can't see anything. Okay, here we go. Yep, there's the waterfall. Okay, and this goes down. All right. All right, this is the river for sure. If anyone would like to be helpful and they want to drop the beacon down here, that would be great. Alright, so this is a volcanic. Alright, so this is the rest of the skeleton. Yep, there's the ghost Leviathan. I see you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see you there. I see you. You're great. You're doing great. Okay. Now, can I repair this guy? Where's my, oh, where's my upgrades? Here's upgrades, okay. All right, 1, 2, 3, perfect. Now you should be full of storage. You are, okay. No. No! Oh my god, no, go in the thing. Okay. Okay. That's very loud. You're unnecessarily loud right now, sir. Alright, one of these stupid things are gonna blow up my other ship, because that's always what happens to me. Alright, this is diamonds. No, quartz? I don't need quartz. I need rare shit down here. I don't need stuff that I can get other places down here. I need specifically the toxic shit. Here we go. Okay. Nope. Grab it. Oh my god, grab it with your dumb hand. Thank you. Ooh, this goes down. Wait, oh, I was down here. That's right. That's right. I was down here. Drilling. Oh, nickel! That's what I need. Nickel! Amazing. Good job, chat. Good job, chat. Good job. Alright. So what was the other thing I needed? I needed nickel. And then I needed that yellow stuff, right? I don't like the noises down here. What if, okay, what if I leave the prawn down here and I just like empty it out and like put it into the Johnny Deep and take Johnny Deep back? Like, what if I just did that instead? Instead of trying to like load all this up, you know? I don't think I need a lot of the uranite crystal. I think I've got that. I think I really just need the crystalline sulfur. Do I have a light? Can't see. Gold? Lithium? Yeah, lithium's kind of important. I don't have much of it. Alright, I'm gonna probably need to go up soon. Storage has no room. Okay. Alright, so I need to go up. Get out of the thing. Go back over here to Hyani Heap. Ooh, what's that? What is that? Diamond. Okay, so that's what I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm just gonna like empty the prawn into the other one and just like rinse and repeat. honestly. All right, storage. All right, so I need this. I need this. Okay. Pay attention to my oxygen because it's not gonna be very effective down here. Let's go back in here. So does this only expand this one storage unit? Is that how this works? Like it just keeps expanding this one? Because if that's the case, I need to get more storage. I'll have to use the 4th storage. Okay, so that's good. All right, so we can go back in and we can keep on prawning. All right, so let's go. Let's go this way. I've been staying away from the like where the Leviathan is, but this is, yeah, this is the one we started mining that we don't need. And then this goes up here, goes into here where we started. All right, this was the lithium. Okay, pick it up. This is, I hate controlling this thing, I'm not gonna lie. I hate controlling this machine. High strength alloys, okay. So exciting. It's so exciting, chat. I know. This is stuff I should be doing off stream, but here we are. Okay, that's done. What am I still drilling? Nothing. I'm drilling nothing. Pick this up. Pick this up. Alright, gold? What is this? Nickel? Let's get more nickel. Just because nickel's deep down here and it's hard to get. And then nickel order. Okay, so then I think we're gonna, so I think our whatchamacallit is full. I think our moth is full or close to being full. So we'll load this up. We'll load our pockets up. And then we'll head back. So we've got about an hour left to stream. So I guess then we can start crafting like what we need to get ready for the next one, I guess. Okay. As long as it can keep going in storage, I think we're good, you know? Alright. What is this? Lithium? Let's just get a little bit. We don't really need lithium because it's above as well. Like, the stuff that's above, we don't really need to get down here as well, you know? We just really need the stuff that's, like, deep. In the deep. Alright, so I think... Oh, I haven't been here because of all this. Well, I wonder, like, what else do I need this for? Like, am I getting too much? Oh god, these noises. God, all the noises. Johnny Deep's right there. It's so weird being, like, under a layer, like, under the water, because it makes me feel like, oh, I'm about to go out of underwater, but no, I'm still in the water. I'm just in gas underwater. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Boop-a-doo. I have to, like, keep looking to make sure that, I'm not about to get screwed over. Okay. Okay. In we go. Thanks, I hate it. I hate Timber. That whole line of Pokemon I honestly cannot stand. Alright, so Aya dropped... Actually, I think we can go here and go up. See, look it, there's the skull. Okay. And then we can go this way, I think. God, I hope we don't get lost. Hey, Tank! How are ya? Well, well, well. How you doing? We're big chillin'. How you doing? Ooh, it just got super dark. Holy. Oh, it's hard to see. Okay, here we go. Here's the light. Okay, and then we can go this way. Chillaxin, same, same, same. Same, same, same. All right, so then we're going up here. And then we just keep going to our yellow marker. Perfect. Okay. Okay. We might want to think about taking some stuff with us next time we come down here to make like a second, like, extra base. I feel like I've gotten this already. No, there's warpers here. We're just gonna go. Not messing with warpers right now. Not messing with warpers right now. Wait, is this a shipwreck? Have I been here? Have I been to this shipwreck? I think so. No, I haven't, because there's a data tablet right there. Fuck off, warper! Prawn grappling arm. Oh my god, huge. Huge. Come here. Need that. Got a new saying for you? Lay it on me. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Oh my god, I need this one too. Huge. Huge! Oh my god, the grappling arm's huge.
New blueprint acquired.
Okay. I need to get back up and out before we get warped. Perfect. Instead of same trash, different bag, it's same story, different chapter. You know what? I like that one, actually. Huge. It's fucking huge. All right. Now let's just go. Is X my? Yes, it is. All right. Look at that. Just lock on home and let's go. Let's go. Stretch. We got some good stuffs, guys. We got some stuff. We made some progress. We got some story stuff done. I managed to get back. So this, I've gotten further than I did last time because I managed to get back into the captain's quarters, which I did not do the last time I played. So that's big. That's kind of far, but that's not very deep. That's only 250 meters deep. And I think we have to go. Oh no, we don't. It's past base. I was gonna say we could go here, but it's past the base. The proposed Degassi habitat. I'm kind of excited to play Below Zero. I haven't played it at all. This one I didn't finish. Like, I didn't finish the first Subnautica, but I didn't play Below Zero at all. But I know that they took a lot of stuff from Below Zero and put it in this, which is pretty dope. What's that? I'm sure I've got it. Oh, that's a... I can already tell what that is. It's a sea moth.
Seek fluid intake.
Seek fluid intake. Sure.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Oh, my ear is itching so bad. Oh, why? People need to stop talking crap about me. Alright, so let's squeeze in. right here, and then we're nice. Why won't you move? Okay, whatever. All right, let's fill her up.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Nickelback. Let's put nickel in here, I guess. Okay, lithium goes in here. Okay. This is the most exciting part. Everyone's favorite part is just going back and unloading all of our storage. It's fine. It's fine. So much salt that I don't need because I can't use it. Actually, yes, I can. I can craft a bunch of fish. I can craft a bunch of fish. Nickel. Okay. Where am I gonna put this stuff though? I guess here. It's like other deep crap. Right, this is copper and lead, and this is all salt. This is titanium. Okay. Let's go back out. I think I have one more storage unit. Actually, there's one more thing in here. Yep. And then there's this last storage unit right here. Okay. And then once we drop this off, then we can start crafting the rest of our stuff. See, this is what I was afraid of. Now I've got, like, a lot of stuff in here. See, what do you use uranite for? Ouch. For, though. Alright, silver. Lithium. No, I did that backwards. This is lithium. This is silver. Nickel. Alright, and then I've got 10 salts. So let's get 10 fish real quick from one of our things. No, I don't want to hear that. Okay.
Automated message from Aurora. Live pod 13 coordinates attached. Live pod is carrying high priority passenger.
Yoki Kasa. I said Kasa. Why do I have to record this anyway?
Send immediate burial detail.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
I don't remember if I like did that one last time. Am I further? Am I further than I was last time? No, because I set up the teleporters last time. What did I do? I'm so bad at remembering like life. Can you set up the teleporters at any time? Like, is that not directly connected to the story? I actually don't remember. Yeah, because so there was the other island. So I think I actually have to go back to that first island, the rendezvous point, because I think I didn't find the teleporter there. I think. I'm really trying to remember. Man, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just play the game. Like, maybe that's the problem, is I'm trying to remember instead of just, like, playing the game. Here. Okay. Okay. Keep going. I have more messages? Was that just beeping? Hold on. No. Well, not beeping, flashing, but you know what I mean. Okay, so fish. I think I'm gonna turn the rest of these peepers into, or not the peepers, the whatchamacallits, into bladderfish into water. And then Well, I can probably make some bleached water, too. It's probably good. Okay. Nope. Nope. Nope, little lag there. Alright, water. Food. Okay, so take that. Okay, and then I've got some salt left. Perfect. Alright, so what does it take for this? Coral tube. Okay. Easy enough. Let's make a bunch of bleach. And then we'll make a bunch of water. Okay, inventory full. Nice. Okay. Okay. Bleach. Bleach. I love how you make bleach to make water. Like, I don't care. Like, I would not drink water that had bleach in it. I'm sorry. I don't care if that's how you clean it. I'm not drinking bleachy water. Boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. I don't care. No bleach, please. Okay. Water. Wait, does this make two? Ooh. One bottle of bleach makes 2 bottles of water. I should got XP for this. That'd be great. I'd get so much experience, bro. Alright. Water, 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 water. These health packs should probably go somewhere else. I just don't know where. I just don't know where to put them. Okay. Look at all that salt. Maybe I should just build another thing. What about that? Do I have titanium? I don't. I need some titanium. I am titanium. Can I just get some titanium right here? That'd be so useful. It'd be so helpful if you would just give me titanium and I don't have to go get some. Okay, I guess not. I guess not. Alright, so that took much less time than I thought it would. So we still have, I guess we can go to that other, whatchamacallit over there. Little lifey boaty over there. Okay. Okay, let's get some titanium. So. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. And then we're gonna use this, and then we're gonna make some more store. Hey, chill, chill, chill. Chill, 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 chill. Okay. So that can go there. And then we can put our little our little health packies in there. Okay. Okay. We'll call this one health packs. Pack and type. Oh, okay. Health pack with a C. Fine. Water. Okay. Wait, is it just water though? Yes, it is. Now I can continue making more water. And then I can drink some water because my water is decreasing as we're speaking. Okay. Now. Water, water, water. Perfect. Okay. And then water, water. Perfect. Let's eat some food. Perfect. Okay. We are feeling healthy, chat. Alright. Let's just put some more storage here because there's no harm in more storage, right? No harm in more storage. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Okay. Perfect. Alright. Can I put these in here? So what if I take these, right? And I put these in here. And then I'd take these corals and put these in here. And then I've got coral on coral, and then these are seeds. I know these are mushrooms. We should technically put the mushrooms somewhere else. Eggs. Let's make eggs. Mushrooms. Actually, wait, I think we have a mushroom box in the other room. Like, I think there's actually a mushroom. Yeah. Oh, it's full of other things than mushrooms, I see. Deep shrooms, pink caps. Okay. But what are these for? They're just alien flora? Like, I don't actually need to craft with them, I think. So I think I'm just gonna get rid of them. Fungal samples. But this is blue. So what's the difference? Sacks. It's a little gas pod and a gel sack. I don't know what to call it. They're little sacks. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of these mushrooms because I don't think I need them for anything. Like, I don't think I need them for anything. Alright, let's sleep. So it's morning because I think it's night right now. Bye, Trum. Bye, Trum. Then go to sleep. I can't. I'm stuck. There we go. Sleep. Is the thing gonna talk to us again? Sometimes it talks to us. No. So far, it's only spoken to us that one time. And it was like, come to me. I will set you free. And I was like, no, thank you. And then I ran away, scared. Okay, I've got water. I've got food. I've got extra crap that I don't need. So let's do... Like, how do I do this? 4. Oh, like that. Chow. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. But it's not even. Hey, come on. There we go. Oh, it's so cute. Okay. Oh, I should get the propulsion cannon. No, fuck it. I don't need it. I keep saying I should get it, and then I don't get it, and then I always run into a situation where I need it. But here we are, me not getting it again. Okay. Oh, we got a message.
This is Life Pod 7.
I'm gonna turn my camera off for 2 seconds while I adjust my
Pod is structurally sound, but the
pants.
fabricator's bust.
I have like shorts on, guys, and they're like, you know
7
how it is.
out.
Signal coordinates corrupted. Approximate transmission origin recorded to data bank.
Data bank. I like how Alexa says data bank. Subnautica Alexa. I mean, of course. Okay. All right. So we are going to not that one. We're going to this one. We're going to that one because that's not very far. Excuse me.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
All right, where? There. Okay, how do I get there? It's below, but... Wait, where is it? Here. How do I get there? It's gotta be the one I already discovered. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be the one I've already discovered down here. Yeah, look. Wait, so there's something I missed in here? There's no way. I already did this, see? Yeah, I was already in here. Did I miss something in here? Oh shit, these things hurt me. Okay, hold on. Just take it slow. Get sloppy. Yep, there it is. No, that's... They added that afterwards. Like, it has to go in order. It has to go in order because I've already been in here and that wasn't glowing last time. So I've already scanned the rest of this stuff. Because I have the... See, I have the observation... Fucker! I have the observation room! What the hell? It has to be, like, in the order of, like, the story. No, don't touch me, please.
Integrating new PDA data.
Can't open that. Okay, and then I did everything else. I have... Yeah, I knew it. Nope, 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 nope. I tried not to touch it. Yeah, because that's where you get the water thing. And then... Go, don't touch this, come on. Don't, why are you, what are you stuck on? See, there's another journal in here now, but I've already opened this. See, they add, okay, they add stuff after. It's confirmed that they add stuff after. Because I already opened the thing that's next to it. Alright, how do I get in here, though? I think I should have... Remember 30 seconds ago where I was like, should I bring the pulse thing? And I was like, no, I don't need it. Wait, was it in here? Yeah, it's in here. Okay, see, how do I... I'll touch these things. There we go.
Integrating
yeah, see, because this is where I got the bed. This is where I got these walls. Like, I've been in here. Yeah, see, look, here's my fucking camera. Like, I've been in here. I'm so annoyed. I've been in here. I done been in here. Alright. So this goes further up there. Where does this go up? Oh, it's the same up. It's literally the same up. Okay, cool. That's not a debate whatsoever. How do I get out? Over here. Okay. That's done! That was easy. And repetitious because we've already been here. Oh my god, they've been fucking up my shit while I was down there. You sons of bitches. Look at that, 31%. %. Okay. Wait, what are the other ones? So that's the high priority passenger. What's that? Another proposed one? Interesting. Okay. Time is at 11:30. All right, so we'll go back home. And we'll just call it a little early tonight because I don't really want to start another, like another journey, another project or any of that stuff, you know? So we'll go back in here. We'll charge up good old Johnny.
Welcome aboard,
Okay.
Captain.
What did we get? Oh, we got our camera back. That's right. That's fine. That's fine. I do wish that this was connected to, like, the base somehow. You know? Like, that would be really handy, but whatever. Alright, I want to look at our little pishies. Oh, look at the ray! I might keep just the ray and get rid of the zappy boy. I do like that the things grow in here, though. That's kind of cool. Alright, and then let's get some fruits. Let's eat fruits. The fruit, honestly, lantern fruit is like legit. Like, it's probably one of the best things that you can use in this game for health and water at the same time. So hold on, so if I move these... Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I was gonna say, can I change how they're planted? But see, those are left. See? That doesn't make sense. How come these ones are side by side and these ones aren't? Whatever, whatever. Anyway, we got plants. Oh, I have some outdoor planters I can make now. Let's do that. Let's make some outdoor let's go this way. Some outdoor planters on our thing. Oh wait, I don't have any titanium, do I? No, I need titanium. Hold on. I'm a mess, guys. I'm a mess. All right, let's get some titanium. 3. Okay, what do I need? What can I... What... Wow, I struggled really hard there for a second. What can I plant underwater? Like, what do I need that I should plant underwater? I have seeds for mushrooms. Wait, what are you doing? Fucking stalker. Alright. Come on, line up nice and neat. There we go. That's not straight at all, but whatever.
Farming alien plants is a proven survival strategy.
It's absolutely not straight at all. That's so annoying.
On a healthy, raw salad of live tree roots.
Can you absolutely fuck off, stalker? Seriously. My god. Actually, fuck off. You're so annoying. Good. Fuck off. Alright, let's go get some seeds out of our thing right here. Alright, so I've got mushroom seeds. That's all the... Oh, I should go back into the deep and get some seeds, huh? That seems like the deal. Yeah, look at how many mushrooms I can plant. Alright. Can I plant... No, you don't get seeds from... You don't get seeds from, the seaweed. So you get plants from... You get seeds from these things. Okay. So you get seeds from these? Yeah, see? Okay, they hurt me, though. That's just coral shell. Okay. Alright, let's keep planting these. Alright, I can get more of those. I don't really need any of this stuff. See, like the weeds, like I don't need this stuff though. Bedded nettle, you don't use it. Like it's just pretty, but you don't use it for anything. These, see, you can't just do this. Yeah, see, it's just pretty. Alright, so next time when we go back into the deep again, I'm gonna get some deep mushroom stuff. We're gonna plant some deep mushrooms. What else is there seeds for? So there's technically seeds for everything other than, like, the kelp, I think. get some more mushrooms. It hurts me, but let's get some more mushrooms. Ooh, see, it hurts. It hurts. First playthrough? Yes and no. I started it last year on Game Pass, and they pulled it off of Game Pass before I finished it. So I bought it on Steam, and I am replaying it. And I have actually, I think I'm actually finally just passing, or just about to get to where I was the first time. So it's my second first playthrough. But welcome in, Crabdiv. How you doing? All right, coral. Okay. Hi, DJ. Phoenix, you guys showed up at the same time. Look at that. Great. Mega Leviathanzilla? Well, that's a spoiler because I was not there before. You came from the same stream? Very nice. Very nice. Who were you watching? You were robbed? Why were you robbed? Alright, I need to drop my camera off. Your victory? What's this? Oh yeah, that's right. I got that random one from a drop. Alright. The prawn grappling arm. We should probably... I keep hitting escape instead of tab. Started a rebellion and won the war, but somehow the other team got the throne. What are you guys talking about? Was this are you guys playing something in another stream? You have jokes? Meanwhile, I was just chilling. Oh, I hit the... Oh, no, I didn't. I should probably track it. Hold on. Alright, benzene, 5 titanium, advanced kit. Alright, a wiring kit is 2 silver, right? Come on. Yes. And then advanced, 2 gold, a computer chip. Okay. Oh, I hate making things to make all these things. All right. Gold. What was it? Copper wire and what? Oh, it's okay. Computer chip. Yes, so copper wire and 2 table corals. Okay. Copper is 2 coppers makes it copper wire. Okay, table coral is in. Out here. Table coral's out here because I don't remember where mine is. Okay. Running out of table coral because I keep going and getting it instead. All right, a computer chip. Okay. Then the computer chip. And this, and 2 gold. Okay, eventually I'll remember this stuff, I swear. That's not the right one, this one. 2 gold, okay. Advanced wiring, nice. DJ, Phoenix, welcome in you two. How was your weekend? How you doing? All right, advanced wiring kit, 5 titanium. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1. Okay. Prawn arm can be made. Let's go here. Week vacation. Phoenix, that's what's up. I didn't stream all week, so yeah. I didn't know you're on vacation. Did you have a nice vacation? Fuck! My prawn's in the deep. Okay, we just gotta you just have to hang on to that. All right, that's fine. We're just gonna hold on to that for a bit. I left my prawn down there. That's fine. We'll come back to it. That's fine. What time is it? 11:40. All right, I'm not gonna start anything else. Is there anything new? Is there anything else new I can make? Or is there anything I haven't made that I should make? I can't make that yet. Power transmitter extends the range of a power source? What does that mean? Exterior grow bed. Da 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 da. Composite pot. How come you can't put anything up? Purely decorational. How come you can't plant anything in the planter? You passed out your classes and now you chill? That's right, DJ. You told me that on Friday. I'm very excited for you. That's some very exciting stuff. Alright, let's get some titanium out. Let's just make a little seating area kind of thing. Watching Cappy play King of the Castle. What's King of the Castle? I mean, I think I've seen, like I've seen it on Steam, but I haven't actually like played it myself. What's King of the Castle? If you can explain it, what is it? You're tired? Yeah, I'm not going too much later, guys. I do have to work in the morning, unfortunately. How do I rotate again? Shit. Shit. I forgot how to rotate. I forgot how to rotate. Can you not rotate? Can you not rotate? Okay. Factions of people are trying to take over the throne. A bench. Oh, let's put a little bench here so you can sit and look at the plants. I bought a couple new survival craft games that were on sale for the Steam sale, which I'm really excited for. And also, as I was saying earlier in stream, a game that I used to play.
Warning, endorphin levels low. Consider taking a seat and meditating.
Are you kidding?
Remember that problems exist only where you choose to see them.
Are you fucking with me right now, Alexa voice? Are you really telling me, hey, you're depressed? You might want to, like, not be depressed anymore. Like, no shit, Alexa. Rude. Oh, your stream can join and become members of the faction. Vote what you should do. Chill out and meditate. Apparently. Do you guys hear Alexa judging me? Seriously, I feel incredibly judged by Alexa right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I really feel like Alexa is all up in my grill, and I'm not a fan. How am I out of titanium? Titanium. But yeah, oh yeah. So I bought a bunch of survival craft games because I love them. They're my favorite. They're my favorite genre of games. But also one of my favorite survival craft games, which is called Icarus. It like was having some performance issues for me, and it was like crashing, and I wasn't able to play for like months. I haven't been able to play for months. But there's been like 5 or 6 updates since the last time I've played, and it works again! Yay! So I'm so excited. So it actually works. And I've been playing it all weekend, and I'm legit stoked. Like, I'm legit stoked that it works again, because I was very, very, very sad thinking that I would not be able to play this game anymore. Plant. Plant, I will. Let me plant my plants. Plant. Oh, I already did that. Oh, I've already planted all my plants. All right. Eating. Okay. Saving. And a stretch. Okay. And a hydrate. Oh my gosh. Crashing streamer, hidden gamer. No, I don't want it to crash, but I'm excited because I ended up getting. So our good friend Arkstar bought me Forever Skies, which I don't know if I want to play it now. I might play it off stream, but he did buy it because he does want to co-op with me when it eventually goes co-op. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to stream it or not, but I do really, really want to play it. So I might just stream it and play it anyway. So Ark got me Forever Skies, which I'm super excited about. And then I ended up getting Volcanoid, which was one that I was really excited for. And then I got another one. I am drawing a blank on the name. It's like in space. And basically like you're like stranded in space. So it's like Subnautica, but like weightless because, you know, space. So I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. I love survival craft games. They're my absolute favorite. All right. There's no mouse. There's no map. What am I doing? Okay. So the Aurora Rendezvous. We did this. We don't need that one anymore. That one was fine. Okay. This one. That one we did. That one. Okay. So this one, did we do this one? This one's done, right? These are done, right? We don't need these anymore, right? All right, I'm gonna turn these all off for a second here. All right, so that one sucks. Subnautica in Space, I know that game. Yeah, well, hold on. You guys are gonna be able to see my Steam here for a second. It is called, I just got it. What is it called? You guys can see my absolutely insane Steam library here. Why can't I see it? Whatever, is it under my new ones? Recents. Oh, okay, so I got Forever Skies, Volcanoids. Wait, oh, here it is. Remains. That's what it's called. It's called Remains. Yeah, see? Remains is what it's called. So many games. So many games. So many games. Yeah, so it's called Remains, and it's not very expensive. It's $5.99. It's $5.99. And then I also want this one too. It's called Drift, which looks kind of similar. But it looks a little bit, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of cartoony, but that one's a little bit more expensive. That's $20, so I might not grab that one yet, but I want this one too. But it comes in a big bundle. It's Remains, LifeNet Supported, and Drift in a big bundle for $35, which I definitely want Drift. I think Drift's really fun. Like, I'm making a grilled cheese sandwich in space! Yeah, so Drift is another one that I want. I just love I just love survival craft games, honestly. Drift is online co-op, but more Subnautica in space. Better. I know. I know. All right, so we have Subnautica to finish. We've got Subnautica Below Zero. I've got Forever Skies. I've got like so much stuff. I might split it up just a little tiny bit. I might split it just because I want to get through like so many games. So I might do like Survival Sundays or something. Like, I don't know. I kind of just stream whatever I want to stream whenever I want to stream. So if you guys are cool with that, then we're cool. All right, there's that. Let's empty this. All right, and then I don't think we've literally got 10 minutes left to stream. And I don't think that that's really enough time to kind of like go and start a project, you know? So let's just like see if there's anything that we should be making real quick. Yeah, see? Reactor rod. Oh, I can make, oh, hold on, I can make more reactors real quick. Because I have more crystals now. Alright, so I need glass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oof, how many glass is that? I think that's 3. Write the to-do list. Subnautica, I'm happy now. Yes, we're gonna, don't worry, we're gonna finish Subnautica and then we're gonna do Below Zero before we do anything else. Don't worry, I'm not gonna get distracted. We're gonna finish Subnautica, we're gonna do Below Zero, and then we'll probably hop into another survival game as per usual. What did I say I needed? Glass, titanium, lead, and 3 uranite crystals. Okay. So titanium, lead, yes, and 3 uranite crystals. 1, 2, 3. I keep hitting escape instead of tab every stinking time. I got another pink tablet. I did. I got one. I went to the other island. That has the 3 bases on it, but I have to get back. I have to go back because I didn't do the teleporter. I didn't find the teleporter, so I have to go back. Okay, I got distracted for a second. Get distracted? I always get distracted. My entire life is distractions. Where's my other reactor? It's right here. I don't know where anything in my base is. Okay, I've got 2 things. I think we're good. POV. My eggs hatched. Yes, you missed it, DJ. I didn't like... I didn't like having all of the fish in here that I had, and I just wanted the Zappy Boy and the jelly, the ray. So I put my other fish. I put my other fish in the bioreactor because, and I'll tell you why. Because I let one of these fuckers out, right? Where is he? I let these other guys out, and now they just hang out, farting and shitting all over the place, like making everything all dirty and gross. So I don't want to leave them out. So I put him in the thing. But I don't know where he is now. Like, one of the sand sharks, like, shits all over my house all the time. Like, I'm always in there and there's, like, stuff all over the place. I'm like, get out of here! Why are you in here? Alright, so look, we've got lots of mushrooms. Okay, so we've got lots of mushrooms. Alright, I'm gonna, afterward, I'm gonna cut all this down, just because I don't care, whatever. And then we have to get more deep mushrooms. And then, what else can I plant? What else can I plant that's, like, useful? Boop. What are you? Alright, I need to get more hold on. It's gonna hurt me. It's gonna hurt. Ow, it hurt. It hurts me. The yellow glowy vines? Wait, they don't drop seeds though, do they? Wait, you don't have to have seeds? Hold on. You don't have to have seeds? You think those drop seeds? Well, no, if you cut them, so... You're talking about these, right? Because if you cut them, you get the thing. If you cut these... Hold on. Let's drop. Okay. So if I do that... Whoa. I just broke the whole plant. Hold on. Oh my gosh! Guess we're not ending stream yet. What's up, Envoy? Welcome in, guys. How you doing? Alright, I need to get rid of this and this. It's too many. Alright, let's pick these up. Not on my watch, I guess the fuck not. Why is Zelda the ultimate therapy game? Oh my god, did you play Zelda and I missed it? I'm actually really sad. Let me get back to my base so I can say hi to everyone, because right now the only person I can see is Deathless, but I think I saw Rain for a second. I think I saw Rain in there, but I want to say hello to everybody. Let me plant my plants. Oh my god, you can. You can, DJ. You can, DJ. What's up? All right. Welcome in, Raiders. Let me say hello to everyone. You were right. You're always right. Let me say hello to everyone. I did see Rain. Hi, Rain. Welcome in. Deathless, hello. Welcome in. You killed your first Hinox? That's amazing. Which Hinox was it? Wait. So you finally landed in Hyrule? Is what you're saying? You finally landed in Hyrule? Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you so much for being here. If you don't know who I am, hello, hi, welcome. My name is Krista, or Pinksel. Most people just call me Pink. Pinks if you want to be fancy. I am a variety streamer. I play pretty much everything, ranging from things like Lego games, Nintendo games, simulators, shooters, survival games, and everything in between. I do have a very quick video that I like to show whenever we get a raid, just to see if this is someplace you might want to hang out, get to know us, spend some time, just kind of see what we are about. I am waist deep in my first playthrough of Subnautica. Yes, I said that right. My first playthrough of Subnautica. I started it last year on Game Pass. Game Pass removed it before I got a chance to finish it. So I bought it on Steam, and we're starting fresh from the beginning. So I hope you guys enjoy my quick little video. I like to think of it like a little trailer. Like, you know, when you go see your Star Wars movie, they play a little trailer before you see your Star Wars. I hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you in a moment. Hi there, friend. Are you a human being with disgusting bodily functions? They can't know we're like this until they're here. I'm sorry that you didn't get to experience the bus. This is what heroes look like. You can't do anything with human meat, which is kind of boring. Why did you hold it like that? Why are you looking so close?
I wasn't! I just looked down! Because I can see it!
Look at that donk. Put your clothes on. What if you just like collected a bunch of farts? What have I done? Are you pooping? I can't stream in these conditions. I have poopies for you. That won't and can't go wrong. Don't give me that baby. Oh my gosh, my mind. He's still rolling.
Yeet.
No. I was already out. That was for the smell. I'm trying to make the poop.
Chaos, come watch us.
I'm trying to make sure we don't die.
I'm a big girl. I do Mordors. I keep finding these boners. Maybe let's not say those things on my stream. Oh my hot dogs! What is happening?
There's a deep rib.
What is this?
Deep rib.
Home. We home. Name every year in the 80s. I couldn't make this up if I tried. I don't want to fight in the poo. Where would Klefki's butthole be? You know, like these are the important questions. How do I know so much of Umbop? You did not just Umbop me.
Oh, we can play Jenga?
Yeah, I can play Shenga. Shenga? Go, bees! I just want to be beautiful like her. Is it working? I am Cat. I can help you. He's totally dead. He's just standing there. Just because I was supposed to move him. What did? Oh, I look like the kid from Stranger Things. You can go anywhere on Twitch, and this is what you choose to do with your time.
You're like, yeah. Then you're like, yeah.
Thank you for the raid, Envoy. I appreciate it. I was getting ready to end because we've pretty much accomplished everything that we set out to accomplish this stream. But I guess we can go and check out this one new waypoint that has been added to our list of waypoints here. And then we'll see what time that brings us to. Actually, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go back here because I think that the teleporter is there. I set out to accomplish my goals. It succeeded as well. I found like 3 map towers. That's what's up. That's what's up. So I like to name all of my vehicles in all of my games. This is Johnny Deep. Everyone say hello to Johnny. This is Johnny Deep. And we're off. I did fuck all else. Then you're playing a Zelda game the right way. Then you're playing a Zelda game the right way. Johnny Deep looks kind of like the Blue Falcon. No, you're mistaken, my friend. Hi, John. Hi, John. All right, look, Ma, no hands. I love when games have an auto walk, auto run, auto move function. It's so helpful. It's so helpful. All right, so I think that there's a teleporter on this island. I could be misremembering. DJ, you're welcome to correct me before I make it all the way out here. But I think there's a part of the teleporter out here. And I have, oh wait, I have the purple, wait, do I need the green? Oh, wait. I don't need the purple tablet, I need the green blocks. Jonathan Depths. Should be, you know what, I'm kind of sad I'm kind of sad that we didn't think of Johnny Depp first. I'm not gonna lie. Can I copy you? Because Johnny Depp is pretty great. It's better than Johnny Depp, I think. I said nothing? I don't know. Johnny Depp is pretty good. I think we're gonna change it. Even though I'll probably forget and I'll still probably call it Johnny Depp. 'Tis your brainchild. I'm kind of sad. Like, I'm kind of sad that, like, Johnny Depp was the only thing that came to my mind when Johnny Depp is right there. Like, come on. It's right there. It did all the work for us. It did all the work for us. All right, hold on. No, Johnny Depp. Okay, done. Okay. All right, look at that. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp? I know, we had Johnny Depp, but look, Johnny Depp works so much better. Sounds like an adult actor's name. I mean, hi, driver. How you doing? You don't remember where the other part is? Well, I found one half already, remember? But I don't think I had the green stuff. The green stuff. I know words. I don't think I had the green blocks. I have to get no, of course, by all means, Envoy. Like I said, I was getting ready to head out myself, but now I have to entertain your peeps because, of course, those are the rules. You're the best, by the way. Everybody's the best. Everybody say goodnight to Envoy. Good night, Envoy! Thank you for the raid. Thank you for being amazing. Alright, champs. Let's go. The green stuff? The green stuff? Eloop. No, this green stuff. Good night, homie. Good night, homie. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Alright, let's go here. Oh no, Johnny Depp is over here now. See, I remembered, but I'm telling you, I'm gonna call it Johnny Depp. Alright. Okay. Alright, this is it. Last trip of the day, of the night, of the eve. Off we go. I love that they like hide it in the clouds until you get close. How was the, oh yeah, how was the match? That's right, how was the match? Nice memory, DJ. How did your League of Legends match go? The League of the Legends. Oh, you lost? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you have fun at least? But not last place. That's the biggest win right there, driver. Not last. That's all that matters. It was fun for sure? Good, I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you had fun. Alright, I don't remember if this is it or not. I don't remember. I might be wrong. I might be misremembering. This one might not have a teleporter on it at all. I might not be remembering right. As per the usual with me. Alright, here's a good place to get out. There we go. Alright. So, this is the one that's got all of the, what do you call it on it? The Degassi things? But I don't remember if it also has a teleporter or not. Can I get one Pokemon this whole stream? You can't. You can't. It's apparently not allowed. Alright. I don't think this is a teleporter. I think there's another island. Because here's this. Then this is the planter. Okay. Because it would be like in... It'd be like in a cave. Like it wouldn't just be like out. Go to Gun Island? But I've already done... I already unlocked that one. Like I already went to the Gun Island. And I already put my green cube in that one. So I'm trying to find the other teleporter to put the green cube into. And it's on one of the other 2 islands. I just don't remember if it's this one or if it's the other one. I think it's the 3rd island. I don't think it's the 2nd island. But you use the teleporter? No, because you have to activate the 2nd one to be able to teleport. Like, this first one won't do anything yet. I thought I can go back again if I need to. I really thought I did. Yeah, because didn't I go back again the 2nd time? The closed caption. My closed captioning is always wrong. I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't think I speak that bad. Like, I thought I speak pretty clearly. Like, sometimes I say stupid stuff, but I feel like I speak pretty clearly. I thought I was activated and ready to go through it. All right, we'll go back. We'll go back. We'll go back. I thought... I remember, like, you have to have 2 of them activated to be able to teleport back and forth between them, but we'll go back. We'll go back. You could be wrong. I could be wrong, too. Alright, I don't even remember where the gun island is, though. We'll have to look. Degassi Island doesn't have the teleporter? Okay. Okay, okay. So it's definitely the 3rd island. So it's Gun Island and the 3rd island, but I don't remember where. Hold on, stop bouncing. Just stay for a second, because I need to see all these clouds. Because there's that one. And then I think over there's another island, I think. Because it's all these clouds. I was searching 3 hours, just searching the PDA. Oh, searching on that island for the PDA. I'm annoyed. I don't want to look up answers, but I want to look up a map because I want to mark off the shipwrecks that I've already done. I feel like I found the PDA. Because, yes, I did find the PDA because it gave me the captain's... The code to go to the captain's thing, which I went to. I went back to the Aurora and I went into the captain's room. And I got the Neptune launch plan. Which I did not do last time. Mark the shipwrecks. Why haven't I done that? I've played enough survival craft games that I have learned my lesson. I have learned my lesson. I've played enough of these games to know that you need to mark and keep track of as much stuff as you possibly can. All right. Where is... Is it there? Is that the one? What time is it? All right. I know that we just got raided not that long ago, but I'm honestly, I'm afraid that if I take on a project right now, I'll be streaming too late, and I work in the morning. So even though we just got a raid, which I love and appreciate all of you guys from Envoy streams, I actually am going to do the crazy thing, and I'm going to be a responsible adult, and I'm going to end stream. Which I'm not going to go right to bed because I'm not that responsible, but at least if I wind down after stream, I won't be all wired. All right. One of my markers was in the gun. Yeah, DJ, yeah, yours is there. That's right. One of DJ's markers is there. Okay. So, let's turn off everybody other than DJ's too. DJ, I think, has a couple, actually. There's one DJ. There's me. Oh, the base needs to stay on, though. Trem can go off. We don't actually need his. right, so DJ, oh no, because I changed, so it's this one. It is this one because I changed the other one to a different name when I was over there because I was like, I don't know which one this one is. That's right. Going to soon? Yes. All right, so we know what to do next time. So tomorrow we are going to a dance party. I have to fix that command. What's up, Chaos? Taking the hobbits to Isengard. Taking the hobbits to Isengard. The hobbits. To Isengard. What's up, Chaos? Welcome in. All right, let's find someone to toss a raid to. Thank you guys for hanging out as always. It's much appreciated, especially after my little week off for my mental health. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me and welcoming me back so kindly. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, so you have some options here. We have some options here. Would we like Diablo? Or actually, do you guys want to raid somebody that I haven't raided before because I don't normally stream very late, but they're playing something scary, but I would really like to raid them because I like them a lot and I never get the chance to. So you guys cool being brave and raiding a big fancy partner with a lot of viewers? Let's go. Okay. Her name is Smashly, and I want you guys to like spam the shit out of her chat, okay? Please, everybody who's here, please like spam like the raid trick, like please, like it would mean the world to me if you guys like hype it up and raid her channel. But yeah, thanks for hanging. Tomorrow, more Subnautica. We have a plan. We're gonna go to the island. We're gonna set up the teleporters, and we're gonna continue. Please, let's hype up Smashly's chat. It would mean the world to me if you guys would spam any and all of the raid messages. DJ, you can use the one that's got like the little hands and stuff. Please. It would mean the world to me if you guys would make this a super fun raid. And I will see you guys tomorrow.